Okay, guys, we are live. So for those listening at home, welcome to the Dungeon Musings YouTube channel. My name is Kevin Madison, and I'll be your friendly Spielmeister today, because today we are going to be returning to play another session of the, from what I understand, is Germany's most popular fantasy RPG, The Dark Eye, Das Schwarze Auge. This is a game that originally was published in the mid-'80s. The version we are playing is the English language version of the 5th edition. It is we started playing 2 weeks ago an adventure called Revelations from Heaven. I had not had a chance to prep as much as I would have liked to for that session. And we also, in the interim, have had an opportunity to learn quite a bit more about the session, about the game. So we're going to do something that's not unusual for us, which is to do a bit of a war story or a little bit of a flashback to help set the stage for that session. But with me today are the stars of the Revelations from Heaven Dark Eye adventure. I'll go the order I've got you guys on the screen here. Why don't you tell us who you are and who you're playing? First up, we've got Jeffrey.
Hey everybody, I'm Jeff, and I'm playing Garen Bladebreaker, and he is sort of a roguish sword fighter, I'd say.
Definitely, yeah. And joining Jeffrey is our resident armor smith, Dave.
Everybody, I'm Dave, and I'm playing Elweni. She is a blessed of the Church of Rondra, who feels very paladin-like, would be my close comparison.
I think that is a very apt comparison for the Church of Rondra. It definitely has that kind of vibe to it. So for those who are unfamiliar with this setting, I guess for one thing, a couple things I'll say for the players and also for the folks at home. So one of the things that is really interesting about the Dark Eye is I mentioned last time this to you guys, that there is the persistence of the setting. The setting is about 30 years in the making, and basically everything that has happened in adventures or whatnot kind of goes along. So if you guys remember from the 90s where there were like meta plots going on in some of the games we were following, where they would evolve as supplements come out, that is what this game is kind of like, which is great because it means that there's a ton of setting material you can draw from. But what I'm going to be doing for the purpose of our play of the Dark Eye is we're going to take more of a traveler approach, which is to say that it's great that we've got the setting, but nothing is sacrosanct. Nothing is, if we're going to change some things or, elements of the setting, then or not elements of the setting, but like the adventures as they are published, they include things that basically, include unkillable characters in some cases because they're important for the meta plot down the road. I don't give a shit about that. Like we're really only concerned about what's happening at the table and whatnot. So, but it does, I think one of the things that a German friend of mine said was that it sometimes felt kind of railroady for the characters. And I think when you have a more, if you don't give a shit about that stuff, what it means is that there's an enormous amount of very, very cool setting material that you can draw from in order to piece together whatever, story you do want to tell. And it came into play in what I wanted to prep for tonight. So I think that it's a really interesting element of the game that can be intimidating at first, but when you get into it, it's really some very, very, there's a lot of great juicy stuff to work with that isn't as set in stone as what I initially assumed. So one thing I want to do first is I did not load a larger map last time, which was a mistake on my part. So I want to show you guys the world of Aventuria. This is the realm of Aventuria. Aventuria is one continent that is on a planet called Der, or Dera, I guess, in German, D-E-R-A. That's important because when they talk about things like, they don't say geography when they're talking about it, they talk about derology. So everything is through that lens. There are other supplements that deal with the other continents, but the only thing we're really going to concern ourselves with, and what most of what the Dark Eye concerns itself with, is this setting here. Last time you may remember that I mentioned we were in the Principality of Kosh, which was part of the Midden Realm. The Midden Realm is this enormous empire that takes up the middle part of the region. The Midden Realm has been it is a successor empire to what was originally the Eurasian Empire. You can see there is down here, this is what is left of the Eurasian Empire. Humans have been here on the continent for, I believe it's around 3,000 years. And the Eurasian Empire was the original sort of center of empire for humans, but they weren't the only humans that arrived here. There were one group of humans that arrived from here, but there were other humans from over here who have been here longer. There were other humans who arrived in the north and kind of made their way down, and there are others who went all the way, and others who landed up here, because there are like 3 different kind of landings of different humans. And then the cultures that have developed have been this interspersing of these things in that time. The Midden Realm has been around for, at the time of our adventure, 1,040 years. The current year is 1040B, FB, Fall of Bosporan. Bosporan was the capital of the Eurasian Empire. Bosporan has fallen now, or fell at the founding of the Midden Realm, also known as the Realm of Raul, Raul. Recent history in the Midden Realm has been somewhat tumultuous. In the last 30 years, they have seen 3 different emperors at the same time. They have seen the return of an ancient sorcerer whose name is Borbarad, also known as the Master of Demons. For about 18 years, 6 years, there was the Borbaradian invasions that beset the realm with demons and foreign armies and waves of orcs coming down from the Orklands and into the Midden Realm. The disappearance of one emperor, the usurpation of the imperial position by another, and then the final conflict between them, which led to the eventual assumption of the current emperor, whose name is the Empress Rohaja. The capital of the Midden Realm of the Empire has been Gareth, right in the center here. For a little over 1,000 years, Gareth has likewise seen some very difficult times in the last little while, the most recent of which, when Borbarad, the demon or the Master of Demons, was defeated, it didn't mean that the evil ended, because 7 of his successors, the Heptarch, evil like minions, all became persisting problems for the Empire, and that lasted up until this current year, when one of the last most powerful Heptarchs was defeated. So surely we will see some peace now. But what it means is that for your characters, in the last 30 or 35 years, there has been invasions from the north from the orcs. There has been 2 waves of ogre invasions, and ogres are as terrible in this game as what they could be, or they are in any other fantasy RPG. Cannibalistic, violent, and exceptionally stupid. There's been demon invasions, and then one of the downsides to defeating Borbarad, because he was so powerful, is it weakened the realm or the walls between the sphere of Dare, where the mortals live, and the realm of the dead. You may note that there's a place called the Shadowlands here. That is in part because it weakened the barrier between the realm of living and dead, and one of the Heptarchs was an enormous necromantic magic wielding imperial dragon.
Oh.
This dragon shattered the realms between it and used that to try and invade. It has been a very rough time for the people of Aventuria. And
Kind tiny bears.
Yeah, so all of this has happened, and the neat thing is all these are adventures. These are all mega adventures that have been published, over the years in the course of the game. So it's, if you have been playing the game during this time, it is specifically situated the adventurers as the ones who are doing the cool things to make the world change and whatnot. So it's a neat way of kind of having like a living world, the way that like the RPG network used to do back in the day in D&D, where they like the effects of the events and the history of Raven's Bluff would be shaped by what's happening at the different tables, but the entire game is shaped that way. I mentioned those two things in particular, the Orcish invasions and the capital being Gareth, because Elwene, you are from Gareth. You are from the largest metropolis on the planet, and while you do not follow the most influential church of the 12 gods, which would be Prios, the god of the sun, with the amount of conflict that has gone on in the last couple of years, it is not a surprise that Rondra has a lot of devotees and sees a lot of people calling for help from the blessed ones of Rondra. And Garen, you are from, I believe it's the Shieldlands, which is like right up here, which was right like where the hammer of the Orcish invasions have come. So you may remember that we were talking about one of the things from your childhood memories is as a child hiding in a tree while orcs killed everybody else in your village.
Right.
Orcs in this, though, they are not the kind of like evil of orcs is a cultural thing, not a inbuilt thing. That there are other sentients that are in here who are the creation of crossbreeding programs with demons, and those have certain well, those characters are, it's some in kind of innate tendencies as well as cultural, although those still have a cultural or a ability to escape the influence of both of those things too. I mention it because orcs are just brutal combatants, and though they have been, especially for folks living in the north, the northern part of the mid-realm, they can be sort of tantamount to like danger. There's also on the borders, there is some intertrade and things like that. So what Garen's relationship may be to orcs, you would not see orcs adventuring alongside humans necessarily, or dwarves or elves for that matter. But you might see some in certain certain regions, like for instance, the Svelte Valley was a bunch of human gold mining operations from the Midden Realm, and they are now like they've been invaded by orcs, and it's kind of the part of one of the ways of sort of picturing the relationships there is kind of like the Old West and the relationships between settlers and First Nations, where sometimes those interactions are violent and sometimes they are not, and that's sort of what the orcs are like in this setting. So where our adventure is going to take place is in the Principality of Kosh, which is right here, named in part for the Kosh Mountains. This is also known as the Riverlands. Let me bring you over to a smaller map here. Now these names are all in German. Some of them are going to be very close, but the ones that we really need to concern ourselves with, the ones that there's some of these I would translate into English and use as different phrasings. This is from a German language product for it. The things we talked about last time, though, were Koshim, right there. The dwarven community. And we were talking about Angbar before. Now, we were talking last time about you guys going down to Angbar. What I think I'd like to revise that to is that you guys are we're starting our adventure in Angbar. So when last session, we would actually see you returning to Angbar for something. The recent history in Angbar or in Gambar, in Kosh, it would have been 13 years ago, there was an event known as the Year of Fire. And it is so called because there was a creature called Alagrim. We talked a little bit about this last time. I did not have this to show you. This is Alagrim. Now, one of the things that historically the dwarves knew, I mentioned that humans have been here in Aventuria for about 3,000 years. Dwarves have been here for ages. And when I say ages, I mean in the way that the Church of Hesinda. Hesinda is the goddess of learning and magic. And the Church of Hesinda tells you that the way that you track ages in the world and the sort of the broader history of time is in these 13 ages. The scholars say that you are heading into the 12th age, but the dwarves have been here since, I believe it's the 4th. And the dwarves have ever been enemies of the dragons. Dragons hate dwarves and dwarves hate dragons. There are dragon gods who are servants, kind of. They're not quite gods, but they're referred to as gods, who are servants of the 12 gods. But there is also another god called Pirdakor. Piradakor? Hold on, I'm going to double check this. I think it's Pirdakor. And he, or they, were one of the most powerful creations of that entity that you may remember from last time, the Nameless One. The Nameless One is the 13th god. It's said that at some point he tried to take over the world or the universe and was cast down by the other gods, stripped of his name, and then because he tore a hole through the spheres to let demons in, his body was stitched into that hole to kind of plug up the Pirdakor, which is, I'll put it in chat here for you. The reason this is important is because Pirdakor, also known as the Golden Dragon, is the reason why the High Elf civilization fell. It is the reason why the Lizard Folk civilization fell, is because they all were seduced by Pirdakor. The one race that was here that was not was the dwarves. And there have been 2 dragon wars. One is said to have been back in the early ages of mankind. One was within recorded history of the dwarves, which is around 4,000 years ago. When they fought, Pirdakor had a variety of different adversaries, some elemental, some demon, some of this world, and some that were combinations of those things. So things like golems or, chimeras, those are different combinations of different elements. So you can have corporeal creatures that are infused with elemental power or with whatever, or with demonic power. Alagrim was a unique elemental creation. Think of something along the scale of power of what a Balrog is. And Alagrim was, along with Pirdakor, defeated. And Alagrim was sealed using phenomenally powerful magic under Koshim. And so it remained for thousands of years. Dwarves live a long time, they don't live thousands of years. Over time, Alagrim became kind of a rumor, like a boogeyman that, you be good or, the Firebird's going to come and get you. It wasn't until 13 years ago when terribly that thing came to pass. And somebody broke the bonds that kept it hidden, and it came out, destroying Costume, ravaging the entire region along the northern Kosh Mountains, charring and burning the Vingenholm county all around here. And then even it was finally defeated through a miracle by the god Ingerim, by the dwarves known as Angarosh. His high priest in Angbar invoked a miracle to defeat it, and it has been rebound back beneath Costume, and the dwarven mountain king is trying to rebuild what was devastated there. This was around the exact same time where there was a civil war going on in the Empire, and then there is Borbor. Like, it's one in a series of many, many bad things going on, but Allegrim is the most significant thing as of late. I mention it because it's something that's going to come up as an important bit of our time here. But let's talk about Angbar itself. And guys, let me show you. I talked last time that you might want to go and see the Temple of Ingerim. This is why I thought you guys might want to see the Temple of Ingerim. Whoopsies, wrong thing here. Because there's two of them, one on top of the other. Ingerim is the smith god, basically. The god of creation and smiths, and the dwarves call him Angrosh. They venerate him so much, they actually refer to themselves in their language as the Angrashim. They were created by Angrosh to protect, basically, his gold from dragons. So the conflict between dwarves and dragons goes back to sort of their creation myth. But this is the place where you would want to go, and it is located on the side of the lake. This is Angbar, and where it is laid. It is the Angrabarer Lake, or Lake Angrabarer. And that is an idea of what the illustration on the left there will give you an idea of what to expect in here. The city is about 40,000 people, I believe, and it is one built on commerce. The reason that you were coming here, well, actually, before we do that, let's talk about your characters in a little further detail. Now, I'm assuming that you guys came from the east, and you were heading here from Garish. How seasoned do you think your characters are as far as kind of like picking up and heading out to adventure for yourself? Do you think this is... You obviously have a full history behind you, one in service, to the Church of Rondra, and one in service to mercenaries. But what, or as a, experience as a mercenary, what do you think is it that has sort of... How long have you been on your own now? Have you been pursuing this path as an adventurer?
I don't think Wenny's been out there for very long. I think for her it was more clerical work and training prior to setting out from Gareth. So the trip from Gareth was probably her first big adventure.
Okay.
And she probably was looking for people to travel with that would be relatively safe or experienced, or at least provide some level of protection.
What do you think, Garen?
I feel like Garen is a little more older and experienced, and since like we talked about, his family or his whole village was killed quite a long time ago, I think he's kind of been on his own a long time. But actually adventuring, maybe a few years.
Okay.
Sort of on his own. Maybe he was in a little thieves guild or something before, but he was a little more adept at the blade and sort of drifted away from, just common like pickpocketry and, these little scams that the other guild was running that he wasn't too excited about, and saw much greater, when you're picking the pocket of the adventurer to take his little coin purse in the inn to buy some food, but seeing the, others, he's the one with the wealth. So he kind of saw like the life and adventure. I don't have to pick pockets or sort of be this, I'm too old for this now. I'm ready to sort of adventure now.
Okay.
And moved up.
Okay.
So to speak.
So I'm looking at there's some like background story questions with the character. And because he's a pre-gen, some of the stuff's been sort of decided, or at least some of the stuff has been set out in a version for these characters. But there's some that aren't. So for instance, what are your hero's morals? Is your hero a law-abiding citizen, or does a life in imitation of Fex? Fex is the god of tricksters and thieves and con men, things like that. Would your hero be willing to steal or to break into a house, a villa, a palace, or even a temple while adventuring? Would your hero commit any other crimes? Would your hero lie to a noble or a blessed one to defend comrades? Would your hero loot corpses, thus angering the god Boron? What about tombs? Would your hero dare disturb the eternal slumber of the dead? Does your hero support the aristocracy or secretly believe that the public has a right to elect its leaders? Is your hero a pacifist or willing to kill? What about tolerance of strangers? Is your hero prejudiced against Horasians or elves? Are orcs worthy of respect? Would your hero rather hit them with an axe? What about dwarves or people who simply come from different villages? What do you guys think about your respective heroes' morals?
I think you should say what Elwyn's are first, Dave. I think it'll affect Garen's a lot. Like I think his was depending on what yours are.
Right.
What do you think her morals are?
That was a lot. I was listening to it, but I wasn't trying to decide all. So she is.
Take a minute.
Here, we can see if it helps, Dave. We've got the guidance of what the church values. This doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be what you value.
Right.
But the church...
the moral code, the blessed ones of Rondra.
Yeah.
I must defend the faith. Must not use crossbows in combat and must always behave honorably. Main duties to protect the believers, sanctums, and temples of the 12 gods. So that would probably mean looting churches and shrines would be off, and even revered places of the dead and such. But if someone's got like a cairn or a burial mound that's not protected by the church, that would be maybe a gray area.
Okay. And you got single combat. When forced to fight, you must try to engage in single combat, the most honorable of all kind. And then mastery of the sword. You must strive to learn all arms and master them.
Yeah, I was actually reading a little further along, and it said that in the past, people prayed to Rondra as a goddess of war, but war is mainly the domain of her son, Kor, the god of mercenaries.
Yeah.
So maybe there's some connection there between, not necessarily a religious connection, but as a blessed of Rondra, she can respect the mercenaries and soldiers because they typically worship her goddess's son.
Well, I'll give you something else to work with too, which is that one of the early heroes of the humans after arriving in Aventuria is favored of Rondra, Garon the One-Handed, spelled exactly like Garon's name is spelled. During the near-mythical reign of Horus, the legendary hero Garon the One-Handed is said to have accomplished his heroic deeds. He was one of Rondra's chosen and the first bearer of Seven Strike, the sword of the gods, which according to legend was forged by Ingerim at Prios's behest. To this day, Garon's 7 heroic deeds are told and retold in songs in taverns across the land. It's said that every victory with the sword of the gods increased his craving for battle. He slew the great serpent of Sikrim, the chimerical ogres of the Bosporan forest, the serpent-shaped sisters of the Yakir, the demon beast known as Harodia, and the great worm of Kababia. He went on to defeat the Basilisk King, which had destroyed the high elven city of Semiala. The venom of the eternal dragon of Facadia was his doom. But he still managed to defeat the terrible beast with 7 strikes, it said, before he succumbed to his wounds and died. So if you happen to meet Garon...
Yeah. Almost sounds like Druin.
Yeah, definitely.
Boy, I mean, Clangeddon. Sorry. So yeah, it's funny because if we would have met, even just talking about potential adventure or something like that, she might have been like, oh yeah, the mercenary, I can respect that. But then if you say your name, she'd be like, oh, Garon, huh? Maybe this is my God speaking to me and like telling me that I should travel with a Garon because there's, the fate of history or the weight of history might, lead the hand of fate.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Garon? Your morals.
So I think he's, where he started out, he sort of had, no morals or very low morals. When you're sort of very young and put on your own, you do what you can to survive and you're not too concerned about other people. But I think as he grew up and, maybe had a mentor or two or a couple of people that looked out for him, he started to change that a bit. And I think that maybe even he started on this adventuring path and I don't know, maybe even meeting Elwyn is, steering him even more sort of down the straight and narrow. He's a convert. He's trying to improve his morals.
Okay.
But he's still got some loose ideas here and there about, what's an okay thing that he can justify to himself.
Okay. How does your hero spend their free time?
Gambling?
Okay.
Work on that. You could be praying and tithing that money that you're going to lose gambling to better the lives of others, but you do what you need to do, and we'll discuss that another time.
Look, it happens.
Gambling
Yes,
is a
yes.
knowledge skill. Is Garon actually trained in it, or is it something he enjoys doing?
Oh, let's take a look, actually. There is a gambling skill.
Mm-hmm.
It's under social?
Under knowledge skills.
Oh, knowledge. No. Oh, so maybe I will increase. Maybe he's not good at it. He's, or maybe he, he doesn't know the more high-end games. He knows the simple dice games and the simple, like, pure luck, like,
Yeah.
war, like card, flip the top card. Whose is higher? I win.
Yeah. Okay.
Sort of the fates decide more.
Do you have warfare knowledge?
Warfare knowledge.
You're a mercenary.
I do have warfare knowledge, yes.
I bet you that was the tavern talk that got us going. I bet you we were just a bunch of people were talking about a particular battle, and you and I had both been chiming in on, well, no, it probably wasn't that technique. I'm sure they wouldn't have had their cavalry out in the open like that. And you're like, yeah, well, that would make no sense. And they probably want to do this. And I was like, really? Oh, so you actually know some stuff about warfare.
Right.
Talking about, well, where do you come from then? You know so much about warfare.
We talked about this last time, but the pre-gens, like Bladebreaker is the name of the mercenary band that he was with. And the backstory for the pre-gen is that when he's also, incidentally, Garen is one of the iconics. Like you see him on every cover in all the art and shit like that too. So it's a recurring character in the game, or at least in the 5th edition. But he, there was like a bunch of others who were doing something unseemly, and he was like, "Guys, fucking knock it off." And they were like, "What the hell's it to you?" And he made it to him, and that led to him getting badly injured and also kind of kicked out, but he's kept the name Bladebreaker for some reason.
Right.
So, what about Elweni? What does she do with her, how does she spend her free time?
I think she's an avid learner of history. And so she probably goes whenever she's in somewhere new, she's like looking at the ruins and the old architecture and trying to talk to people who maybe find old texts and learn about places, who just fascinated by this land and how, much has been fought for and it's changed over the years. And
yeah,
maybe I wonder if that empire that was pushed out, I wonder if she's got some curiosity towards that, even maybe ancient history.
So a neat thing about the Eurasian Empire too is that it is the most technologically advanced place on the planet. It's much closer to kind of a like late medieval, almost early Renaissance era tech, as opposed to the rest of the region. And the Eurasian Empire has not seen as much direct conflict or impact as what the Midden Realm has. So yeah, definitely there could be an interesting, and it's said that their current emperor, who has for years afterwards, one of the sort of like things that the Eurasians did after the Midden Realm declared itself separate and its own empire. One of the things was they didn't name themselves the way that the traditional, like 3,000 years ago, the Eurasian empires did, which was they would add a suffix to their name, either a suffix or a prefix. I can't remember which. This current emperor is said to be descended from a dragon, for one, and two, has started using that name again.
Oh.
For the first time since the fall of Bosporan, we have an emperor in the Eurasian Empire who is trying to wear the trappings of the ancient empire that predates the Midden Realm. So, and the way you would get there is actually in this direction too. You'd pass over the Kosh Mountains, you'd head into the North Marches, which is to the west of here, and then you'd head down into the Eurasian Empire. So, could very well be that that might be something, that might be why you're on your kind of pilgrimage.
There'd be opportunities to advance the Church of Rondra and its ability to protect others if we were to discover and adopt some of the technologies that are unknown to us.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, there's plenty that could be learned there. And then I want to say, hold on here.
Not that I'm a sage or anything, but
no, that's a really interesting idea. Oh, I was going to tell you guys as well. So one of the neat things they do in the almanac is they tell you about each of kind of like what the inspiration for each of the places are. And for Kosh, where you guys are, I wanted to mention it's inspired by films depicting the late Middle Ages. The nobility considered themselves a divine right, thus any challenge to the power is met with anger and swift reprisal, although that's the North Marches, which is across the western, across the mountains. Kosh and its jovial hill dwarves near Angbar borrow elements from the Shire, from the Lord of the Rings. The Dwarven mountain kingdoms are borrowed from Tolkien's novels. And the way that you can kind of picture Kosh is a mixture of like the Shire with sort of like Swiss idyllic life of like peaceful mountain villages and things like that. So imagine those kinds of places having gone through what this place has gone through in the last 13 years, since the Day of Fire.
kind of explains the Allegrim's parallel with the Balrog of Moria.
Yep, definitely. I'll show you one or two other ones here, just because I think they're really good about getting a sense of the setting itself, or of the East region. So this is the Mountains of Kosh. Guys, go. So that would be the Dwarven Mountains close to Kashim. We've got the Lowlands. Are like La. And the Riverlands is to the south. Another way to get to the Horasian Empire would be to go through the south, through the Great River Valley.
It looks a little nicer than traveling through the mountains.
This is this. There you go.
Yeah, that looks like Garen's speed.
Did I not mention the River Pirates?
Wonderful
And that
people,
in
the
the
river pirates.
in the north, in the north marches, there is also a. It is a lot more unsettled than what what Kosh is. Although Kosh again has not had a completely uneventful couple of years. See, is there anything else?
That's why Garen wears all black near the river and calls himself Roberts.
Yeah.
he's also quite dread among some of those people.
Oh, I don't want to share. Here we go. Well, because here we go. We're talking about dwarves and dragons.
You're interested in going the way of the river, of course, right, Ellen?
Yes, of course.
Here, guys. Some dwarves and dragons.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be it for now. I really these are all from all those images are all from the Riverlands source book. Only in German, unfortunately, but Google Translate does a lot of heavy lifting to figure out what everything is. Now the what I'm going to assume, we're going to talk about your characters a little bit more here. What I'm going to assume though is that Elwene, you're actually going to be seeing an old shoot, I had her name and then let me see if the names are on the GM screen. Hold up here. I don't think they are, but they're not. Okay. Get. It's not here yet, but I've got a German language source book coming that's got all the whole book is just about naming conventions, so it's just a whole book of names for different cultures in Aventuria. Can't wait. I'm a sucker for that kind of, setting focused product. Let me go. It is a member of the local temple to Rondra in Angbar, who, while you're passing by here, even if you do not stay in Angbar, seeing the Church of which is the main church of Ingram, seeing that in person is one of those kind of like once in a lifetime thing. And there's a friend that you have who is in the Angbar temple of Rondra, who has always offered to kind of show you the town. So since you're moving in this direction, I'm assuming you can't pass up the opportunity to go. Her name is Corena.
Corena.
Yeah. So here we go.
I need a new notepad at my gaming desk. All my note papers are full of notes.
So the other question I was going to ask you guys. Let's see. Is there anything else?
Lena.
Deep down, Elweni, though she's noble and is from the aristocracy, believes that the aristocracy should be doing more for the people. I think it's part of her religious tutelage has led her to believe that, like, hey, if the church can do all this work, then why can't the nobles? Why can't the people with money and power? She sees a disparity in, what they provide and what they could provide.
So there's two interesting things, I think, that maybe you've got this in mind, or maybe this is just a happy coincidence. But for one, in Gareth itself, it may not surprise you to learn that the difference between those who have and those who have not, especially after years of war, is really bad. Like, the poor districts in Gareth are among the worst on the continent. They're terrible fucking places to live. They're said to be rife with demonic cults. Because there are things called archdemons that are basically like cognates of the 12 gods. And they are quite literally the enemies of these gods. They will take active steps, and there are cults for each of these archdemons, which is separate from the cults that are to the Nameless One, which is separate from those who are still carrying on the name of Borbarad, the Borbaradians, the sorcerers and demon summoners. Each of these things are separate threats in addition to just the other political tensions and whatnot. So one of the things you would see would be that. The other thing that's interesting is the difference of attitude as to Rondra's role towards the poor and the weak. Some in the church believe, like you are, that no, we should be protecting people who are weaker, and we should be, trying to do more to help those. There are others who say Rondra, kind of helps those who helps themselves. Rondra has no time for the weak. If you are weak, you are not blessed of Rondra. So there may be some tensions that you saw in your own church with taking that attitude as well. So,
right.
So what we're going to assume is you guys made your way here. I also included, I've got your token over at Jeff, but I included a little cut and pasted guide here. I thought it'd be helpful to have a scale on here. This is listed as 50 milen, it's miles, and a mile, a midden mile, which is what they call them in the setting, is the same thing as a kilometer. So one helpful thing is that if you think of the distance of a kilometer, that is what the distance of the midden mile is. This is 50.
Okay.
You can move about 20 or so on foot per day. So if you want to have an idea of how long it takes to make your way across here, the distance between, let's see here, it's about 200 midden mile between Gareth and Angbar. I think I'll put this as a handout. I had a bunch of different versions of the map to show you guys, but let's see here. Here we go. Yeah. This one has, let's see here, the map from Gareth to Angbar. There, guys. This will show you how far. Oh, god damn it. It doesn't. I didn't actually load the one. Hold on, let me show you here on this map. Boom. Okay. On this one here, you see where Gareth is right here? So it's from here to here on the far side of Angbar Lake. That's where you're going. 7 feet is about 200 kilometers, 200 midden mile. Which means you guys have been traveling for better part of a week in order to 200? Yeah, a little more than a week actually. how long do you think the two of you have been? Has it been since you left Gareth, or has it been only along the road?
Gareth, I would think. I think with a journey that big in mind, Elwene would have wanted to connect with some reliable individuals to travel with.
Yeah, it is a little safer to travel in a group.
Okay.
So yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. And then you guys would have... So again, this is sort of what to picture. I wanted you to picture the lake here before we get into this, because remember, the lake itself is like 50 kilometers long. It is a massive lake that stretches quite far out, and it's several kilometers across. This is kind of a, like, Great Lakes kind of situation.
Yeah.
That'll be what the streets of Gareth are like. Or streets of Angbar, not streets of Gareth.
How did you get an old picture of Garen?
So, because I know that, Jeff, you enjoy some random elements, I thought we would make use of a fun random table in the GM screen for the inn that you guys happen to be staying at. Now, we know that the adventure itself took place at the end of the year. The year actually ends in the month of Roja, I think, which is just before I think it's 5 nameless days, which are set aside for the nameless one, is when stars disappear from the sky. So when you go out at night and it's not there, one thing I could not find an answer to, and maybe someone can comment on this who is familiar with the setting, it's not clear to me if it's actually like an eclipse during this time, because in some places it references it as having no light, and then there are others where it just says that there's no stars in the evening. So I actually don't know what the official answer is for the nameless days. But my point being is that it's going to be the peak of summer, so it's going to be quite warm when you guys are traveling as well. So you're not going to need to worry about it being, too cold.
Nice.
Why don't you each give us a D20 roll to start here, please?
That's not a weather roll.
Not a weather roll. This is an in-name roll. So the jumping Pilgrim is where you are staying. And would you each give us another D20 roll, please? It's a wooden building, so that's good. It's not a tent. And it is a simple place. So it's nothing fancy, nothing, too trashy. Once again, another D20, please. 13.
Oh,
It's quite busy, though. There are some empty seats, but it's difficult to find an empty table. And
I like busy.
yeah, and it's not like riffraff. It's not well off. It's sort of like, it seems like it must have great drinks here. I mean, there is fantastic beer that's brewed in the mountains. So perhaps it's not a surprise that it's, people are happy to come in here. But the Jumping Pilgrim certainly lives up to its name, perhaps because you have to jump if you want to get a seat once one opens up. Once again, another D20 or pair of D20 rolls, please. 17. So the innkeeper, you guys happened to show up on the day that they were letting their 12-year-old daughter play innkeeper. So imagine a busy place where they're just letting a kid run the shop. And you know what? It's maybe a very family-oriented thing, because there is a very heavy pregnant barmaid who speaks quite clearly. So I'm assuming it's in part also great service with, it's a very family-run establishment where this young girl is apparently in charge the first day that you were here. Another pair, please. This will be the final ones here. 18.
Double 18s.
Okay. 18. So another two things. It seems that the day that you were arriving, you are here, fans are meeting to mourn the defeat of a local Imman team. And I can't remember what Imman is offhand. But there is some local, sport. Maybe it's maybe it's a rowing team because it's on the lake. So perhaps there's a boating thing that there's also a group of fans, and because of the nature of how the seats are kind of available, they're probably spread throughout too, which means it just sort of is everywhere. And on top of that, there is also a cat that seems to have the run of the environment that enjoys sort of startling people by jumping down onto their necks.
Hmm.
So the Jumping Pilgrim has a very lively atmosphere as you are making your way in here, and there are those commiserating the loss of that local rowing team. Do you think, Elwene, you would be wanting to meet up with Karena early? We'll assume that you guys have made your way into town coming from the east. Settle yourself into here. Grab some food, drink.
Yeah, it's like kind of early in the day. Yeah, just having some lunch and then meet up with your friend, LNA.
Prefer to meet with people earlier in the day. Not as hot.
Are you saying you want to wait till tomorrow, or?
I mean, if you would like to wait.
No, we'll meet today. It's also rude to keep people waiting.
Okay.
There.
So you grab a drink. I guess I should ask: is there one drink? Is there multiple drinks, or is it just a matter of like making arrangements to have a place to stay? And then heading off to meet up with your friend.
Yeah, probably arranging somewhere to stay, and then
I'm okay with more than one. She's okay with more than one drink. You can't be thirsty when you're protecting people.
Okay. I have no doubt that there is the weight of the road. I mean, if you guys have been traveling for that long, imagine walking, 8 hours a day for that long and then staying in unfamiliar beds, different places, different feels to it, different smells and whatnot every time. It's got to be a long, a long week. And then to suddenly be back in a place that is as vibrant. Now, one thing that you would... actually, let's get some dice rolling here. Why doesn't everyone give us a... I think history is one of your skills under your knowledge skills. Just give us a history check, please.
history.
Routine or with skill specialization?
This will be... not with specialization, it'll be a regular roll, but you are, and it's not routine. That's like an auto success thing. But you will use a modifier. When it prompts you for a modifier, use... I gotta remind myself on the sheet.
It's extremely easy, very easy, challenging, difficult, very difficult, or extremely difficult.
Yeah, make it very easy, please.
Okay, very easy.
Oh. I mean, I think that purple is sagacity, so it's not necessarily a strong suit of yours there, Garen.
What are we clicking on? The purple dice or the...
Yeah, any of the dice, and then it'll prompt you to...
okay, right.
Yeah.
And so modifier is what?
Purple is sagacity.
Modifier you're using very easy.
Very easy. Okay.
is purple sagacity?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's like sort of your magic skill.
No, sagacity is just your like education, basically.
Oh, education.
Yeah. Intuition is sort of like your cleverness and your ability to come to conclusions on things. Sagacity is just your knowledge. Courage is your, willingness to act when confronted with fear or doubt or whatever. And then I think there's one more mental stat that I can't remember. Courage, sagacity,
and intuition.
Yeah. Is there a fourth one, or am I imagining things?
Well, the fourth one is charisma, I think.
Charisma, right. Yeah, and then the other ones are physical. Yeah. Constitution. What is it? Constitution, strength, dexterity, and agility.
Yeah. I think that's right.
Okay. So neither of you got any successes, but I guess the thing maybe that you didn't really, clue to, maybe is mentioned by the pregnant bartender comes up to you, Elwene, and she recognizes you, of course, with the symbol of Rondra, the giant Rondra's crest on you. Hello, Your Grace.
Oh, hello. Yes, hi.
Your Grace is the proper way to refer to anyone of sort of like if you don't know what status they are in a church and they are a blessed one, you refer them as Your Grace.
Well, I'm only my goddess's page. Thank you.
No. Well, because I think if you are a blessed one, you're automatically at, what is it here?
Goddess's page.
Let's see. Here we go. No, that's Raja.
From Latin Alkalite Lion Knight.
You are preferred Rondra. Here we go. You're automatically a priest. Goddess's squire.
Okay, look at that. Goddess's squire. I prefer being a Lion Knight, but that's right.
Yeah. Oh, forgive me, Your Grace. I can't say I'm familiar with your church. What? I'm not as familiar with the I can't remember the Thunderer. I can't remember what the common phrase is for her. But in any event, with Rondra's blessed. Your accent, ma'am.
Oh, that's quite all right.
You from out of town?
Oh, a great distances traveled. My companion and
Wonderful. And what business brings you here? She leans on the bar. You get the sense that maybe this is just someone who really wants an opportunity to take a break from walking around serving.
Why are we here? What were we doing again?
You're passing through. It seems you were going to be stopping on a friend first.
Oh, right.
Yeah, correct.
Trying to think of like what we were going here earlier, but that's a different question. We've gone backwards, forward again.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm just in visiting a friend and taking in this great city.
Oh, well, it's if it's have you been here before or
this is our first time. My first time passing through. How about you, Garen?
I've been through the city before.
And I'm picturing there's like a person between the two of you because you had difficulty getting a seat.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you two together?
Yeah. Do you mind swapping?
The guy kind of looks up. No, and he swoops, places with you. You can see he's got there's a scarf he's got on that tells you it's the color of a lot of the other fans in here.
Yeah.
So he stumbles out of his chair and then sits down. Never been then. Well, you might not notice all the rebuilding then.
Rebuilding? No, I'm often drawn to some of the older architecture. I fail sometimes to see and recognize when things are newer.
Oh yes. things are nearly back. You'd never know that the day of the day that Aldergrim came.
Oh, yes, the flaming bird, wasn't it?
It was. And the city was ablaze. Looking at the streets now, you'd never know that it's a blessing that the Angrush has brought on our city, and a sign of the prosperity that the Angrush favors for our city. It's good, though. This is the way we like you seeing the city. One thing that's curious to you, Elwene, is that she's referring to the dwarven name for Indrum.
Not the human pronunciation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can give us a very easy religions check if you'd like.
I think I would like.
Nice. So yeah, you remember there are basically, as you're making your way through the streets here, 1 in every 4 people is a hill dwarf. So there's a ton of dwarves that are here, and you've heard that Kosh itself has a bunch of. The hill dwarves are folks who do not, they've left behind a lot of the hardship and the struggle of digging in the mountains and fighting the deep things of the world and whatnot, and have embraced more of the things that are pleasant, like beer making, cheese making, raising livestock, forging, building businesses and things like that.
Human version of the same god. What was it? Ingram or
Indrum, yeah.
Indrum. Yeah, and then I think Elwene will even point that out. She says, you don't use Indrum, but you use the dwarven naming. Is that fairly common in the city?
Oh, yeah. So, as an Algarite, you get used to it. It's the dwarves insist that Angrush, that they're the favored of them. Perhaps it's just a habit, but Indrum, Angrush, we all know who we're speaking to.
No offense or anything intended, just curious.
No, not at all. There's even, if you listen in, you'll hear some, there is, you might hear some humans cursing. And I can't remember the name of hold on, I've got it in here. The dwarven tongue. But the adventure actually gives you a fun little list of things for an adventure for the GM to incorporate. Where is it here? Aha! Rogalon. Rogalon is the name of Dwarvish in the setting. It's in, as we say, Garoshem, which is Rogalon, Dwarvish, for welcome. And she places the drinks in front of you guys. Baroshem. To your health.
To your health.
Baroshem.
Baroshem.
Okay, and you can hear a dwarf sitting further down the bar turns to you, Baroshem.
And I think Elwene kind of gets her voice to be a little more gruff, and she'll Baroshem.
Yeah. Yes. And they toast you. The yeah. So you if you want to chat with her, you're able to get some directions to the Temple of Rondra, if you'd like. If there is, maybe the daughter comes by, the young innkeeper comes by and gives her shit for sitting around for too long. But she kind of waves her off, get to work, you scamp. And turns out that this 12-year-old runs a bit of a tight ship in here. But if you have any questions about the city or about the circumstances, she certainly is able to answer them for you.
Do I have an idea of where I'm supposed to meet this friend of mine?
Yeah, she'll be at the temple, and the temple of...
I think I might just ask the lady for guidance, so you're not wandering into areas that are troublesome.
Yeah, no, not at all. Let me see here if I can tell you on the map. So you guys, I'm thinking, are in the new district, which is closer to... So the old town is up here. The new distance is down in here. So you guys are probably staying somewhere in here. And there's Temple of Fex, of Sa, of Ingerum, Hacinda. Temple of Rondra is T2. Which would be right... T2, where are you? T7.
I think of that.
It's like right off the main... Oh, no. So the main square is where Boron is. So that picture I showed you guys, that's right here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then T2... looks like... Oh, right in the cliff here. Look at that. The temple of the... Ooh, Draken Toter. I don't know what Toter means. Draken is dragon. So maybe the Temple of the Dragon Slayer. Let me quickly check here. Draken Toter.
Toter is dead.
So the Dragon Slayer. So, Temple of the Dragon Slayer is where you'd find that, and that is like right in the edge of on a kind of on cliff looking out over the rock. Where else would you expect to find the the Temple of the Warrior Goddess?
Totally.
Good for me.
Okay. Anything else you guys wish to do while you're at the bar, or you want to head out once you got some food in you?
Secure a place for the night.
Okay.
I mean, I'm going to refrain from gambling or getting into anything here since we have other business.
You know what I also have in the thing? I'm not encouraging you to do this right now, but I have in the GM's thing, rules for drinking, rules for gambling.
That will happen
later, Karen. Once we're done our visit, Karen, then we can come back and enjoy ourselves for a night.
Of course.
Yes.
Excellent. Oh, geez, I should have...
One must achieve balance.
Here. I was going to share this, guys, because the environmental kind of storytelling stuff they incorporate in their source books is just, I think, so cool. When they're talking about the typical fare for each region, too. They'll give you like this and like clothes from it and stuff. It's really neat. So, maybe some food, a little bit of stew for a quick bite, and then you guys head out. The town itself, like I said, is still busy. It seems like there's a lot of people with money too, like in the sense that a lot of people you're passing are, even those who are, likely of lower station, they still seem to have nice, and relatively clean and well put together clothes. So everybody seems to be doing okay here, and everyone seems to be in a bit of a rush. You would think, Elwani, with how important that Gareth is as the Imperial capital, people would think that would be just the hustle and bustle at the heart of Empire. It's really nothing compared to Angbar. Angbar is really giving a whole new measure of busyness because of the pulse of commerce that is going on here. And again, every fourth person you're seeing is a hill dwarf too. So there's a ton of dwarves that are in the city as well. When you approach the temple, let's take a look at Gods of Aventuria. And for those listening at home, typically I wouldn't be looking up all this stuff, but because it's a setting that I'm still learning about as well, I'm interested to see if there is information about it. Let's see here. Well, I don't doubt that there is going to be the symbol of Rondra, so the sword, that will be outside of the temple. There is also going to be, on the exterior of the temple, there will be like stained glass that depicts some of the saints, including Garen One-Handed. Including her son, the demigod Kor. And here, your holy book, incidentally, is called the Rondrarium. And I think it looks like there is probably a new stained glass symbol that is a marking to the defeat of Allegrim as well, too. Stylized kind of firebird with someone in there, and you can see that there is the markings of the forge. While there is a little bit of like the 12 gods are typically spoken of in one group, there is still differing degrees of like recognition between them, so it is a little unusual to incorporate a symbol that is incorporating something to do with another of the 12 gods, but perhaps just the weight of that event on the city, just it would be foolish to not incorporate that in here somehow. And even at a glance at when you can kind of tell that it is a new pane, which means that some of these may have been blown out during the Firebird's attack here 13 years ago.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. So as you go in, you are greeted by, an acolyte or two who greet you as a member. And if you ask to speak to Karena, it isn't long before Garen, this is going to be someone new to you, so it may or may not surprise you to see that she is dressed very similar to what Elwene is too, in the sense that like full armor.
Yeah.
Rondra's crest is another massive sword over her shoulder, and this woman though looks like she is probably about 10 years older than what Elwene is. She comes over. She has a little more like battle scars on her too. There's a mark on her cheek that is quite prominent. She's a little sturdier and stockier built than what Elwene is, but not as tall as what Elwene is. But when she sees the visage of the warrior woman kind of melts when she sees Elwene, and there's a big smile that comes across her face. Elwene, you arrived.
Deep, so much respect, and goes, we have. This is my companion, Garen Bladebreaker.
Greetings.
Garen, the sword and shield protect you. The Thunderer welcomes you. She looks at your, Garen, are you a devotee of the Thunderer as well? She looks at your many swords on your body.
Not exactly, but never against hearing about the teachings.
Well, please come in. I promised Elwene that if she came, I would show her the city as well. You are welcome to join in as too. Perhaps we can go for. There is a lovely view of the lake, or the water, I suppose you would say. Would you care to come?
Love to.
So you guys are brought in, and there is some strong. What would they bring? schnapps, of course. It's Kosh. There's some powerful schnapps that is, she has an acolyte bring out for you guys. And there is a bit of a patio. And it's not so much a... Nice, that's some intense role-playing there, Jeff.
Yeah.
It's not so much a patio as it is a rampart, right? Like everything in here has a kind of a militaristic quality to it. And when you make your way out here, you can see that there is, this place is, well, not the harbor itself. There is an element of like watchtower to the way that the temple is built. And there is a modest kind of like, this would be a defensible place with that you needed to, defend against attack from the water. You, I think, have been to the ocean before, one of you guys, and you would be forgiven for mistaking what looks before you as being an ocean, because like you cannot see the land on the other side of this water. It's spreading out far above around you, and at this time of day, is around mid-afternoon, there still would be a fleet of fishing ships that are out on the lake as well at different places, and it's a beautiful, clean breeze that comes in. So it is not only the air, the wind coming in off of the lake that takes your breath away. This powerful peppermint schnapps that she's offered, likewise, is quite potent.
Yes.
And the Karena asks, Karena looks like she's probably, Elweni, what do you think? Is Elweni in her like 20s, early 20s maybe?
Yeah, probably mid even. I think she spent a little bit of time in the church before she decided to take on martial pursuits.
Okay, so yeah, so this is Karena is probably in her like mid 30s, late 30s, and she says, "Well, are you wearied by the road, or?"
No, it was a fairly easy journey, and aside from length and sleeping out in nature for extended periods, quite well.
One of the things that would have made the thing easier is you actually traveled the Imperial Road. There is actually like an Imperial Road that kind of runs across the Empire, similar to Roman roads. And that means that there's like, there are specific places to stop along the way, and it is a very easy on the legs kind of place to travel.
Yeah. And I think she'd comment on that. She's like, the Imperial Road he's well traveled, and weren't in any sort of grave danger at any time, and so lots of places to stop and eat and rest. So,
well, have you? I do intend to make good on my promise to show you the city. I have a friend who is one of the blessed ones of Ingerim, and the temple is truly a testament to the creator's mastery of metal and stoneworking. It truly is an incredible edifice. But I have had your timing is fortuitous. I've had a request for assistance come of late that because Jeff said, Mike. I've had a request for assistance, and I find myself pressed for time, but perhaps this is something that you may be able to assist with.
Certainly. Helping the and her faithful is always one of those things I look forward to. How can I help?
Well, I think you may indeed be better suited for this than perhaps I may be. Your manners, Elweni, have always been better than mine. You see, the Count of the Hildens, I think at a basic level you would know that the principalities are divided into counties. And he's talking about the Count of Hildland. Hildland is the region around here. So she's basically talking about the person who is the Count of this whole, kind of political unit, including the Angbar. The Count is a man named Count Wilbur Arbelius, and Arbelius of C. He has seen in the last 15 years his fortunes go from great to improved. The county of Midlands is a combination of two previous counties, less influential, that were, after the Year of Fire, were consolidated. And as such, he has a great deal of influence, and I hear contact with the dwarves of the Kosh Mountains. He has asked for assistance with a task that will take someone to the mountains. And while there is a great deal to see in Angbar, it will wait, and if you truly wish to see Kosh, the mountains and the the Mountain King's hold is remarkable. You would also be doing me a great favor if you were to assist the Count in whatever capacity that he requires. And she looks at you, and Garen, I imagine you would not wish to do this simply to favor a friend of a friend. I hear that the Count is quite generous with those whom he favors.
Ah, well, that sounds to my liking.
Yeah, it's Garen's language.
Less Rondra, more core. I see.
I'm a simple man.
The Thunderer favors her son, those who honor her son, as she does those who favor her. I was to meet with the Count's man later this afternoon, or tomorrow afternoon, I guess. If you could arrange that meeting, I would be honored if you would join us and the sisters for lunch, or for dinner this evening. It will not be anything impressive, but I think the company of the faithful would be welcoming Elwene, and I'm certain that there are some who would love to hear of life at the capital.
Certainly. I would like to knock some dust off and perhaps clean up a little bit prior to an engagement with someone outside of the church. Perhaps there's a facility we could use.
Certainly. You are always welcome here as well. Garen, I'm afraid we are not equipped for those who are not of the church. Have you arranged alternative lodgings?
Yeah,
If not,
I'll get somewhere to stay.
Good.
I will journey with Garen and stay at the hotel or the inn tonight. But I will take prayer and the meal and some time to clean up here.
While I cannot offer you lodging this evening, Garen, you're certainly welcome to join us for dinner.
Ah, well, that sounds wonderful.
And a sermon.
Indeed.
Of course, right? But that's not necessary. I appreciate your generosity and even considering.
Oh, of course. So as you're sitting on this, patio enjoying your schnapps, is there anything else you guys talk about?
Anna's timing.
Yeah, really. Why don't we take our mid-session break right now, too? Jeez, it's already just passed. So for those listening at home, we'll be back in about 5 minutes, and then we'll carry on with our adventure. So back momentarily. Sorry about that, guys. We had Amazon delivery coming. I don't know if it was the cold or if the way it was sort of delivered, but the laundry detergent bust open and spilled all over the package for dog food. So I just had to, yeah. So I said I just wanted to get that shit cleaned off before, it's the stuff is sealed, but like I don't know if it's going to seep in or whatever, and like I don't want Anna having lavender smelling, dog food. So
Yeah.
I wash that off. All right, so we left you guys on the balcony looking up over the Angbar lake.
Yeah, this is nice. I mean, fairly nice.
Yeah.
We have a ford off to the west there.
Yeah. That is the, Ooh, I don't know what.
Alicia?
Yeah. It's great. I've got, there is a, 3 pages of stuff about the setting, too. And unfortunately, I didn't have time to finish, running all of it through a translator when I was getting ready for tonight. But it's, this setting or the map is from the Riverland source book as well. It's really fucking cool. What I intend on doing is, between now and next session, is putting in English language versions over each of the things so that I've got everything translated, because you plug it into, Google Translate and we'll get what the version is. So that way you've got an easy English language version, but it's a pretty cool looking map. Now, I guess, what do you think, Karena, do you think was maybe trained in the church in Gareth? Or what? Is that how you came to know her before?
Yeah, she's more either trained there or maybe she visited for a length of time and we just kind of connected.
Okay.
Maybe she was instrumental in me deciding to take on martial training. And
what we were talking before about the different focuses within the Church of Rondra. Did she have any role in you deciding to land on one or the other?
yeah, I think you mean mastery of the sword?
I mean, because the two sort of aspects of Rondra are the shield and the storm. I'm wondering if you ended up the shield, the blessed ones of Rondra shield and protect the weak and the defenseless. If you follow this aspect, you devote yourself to training for combat and protecting those who cannot defend themselves. The storm, Rondra's fury is legendary. Her dark mood sends storms and thunder raging across the firmament. Blessed ones, following this aspect, on a focus on offensive tactics and direct manifestations of Rondra's nature.
I think ironic that I would probably follow the shield, because I think of that not in terms of a physical shield, but in terms of shielding others.
Yeah.
So I think that is the direction.
And that sort
of
fits with.
I prefer to use my two-handed sword.
Yeah. Well, it sort of fits with the Koshite mentality as well too. This place is more, rural and more like we talked last time about how one of the differences in the nobility here is that like they have much more direct interaction with the common folk and the burghers than what any other noble does. Like it's not unusual to find a noble's daughter is apprenticing to do something or to learn something, with a tradesperson, as opposed to, only learning needlecraft or, ancient history or whatever else. This, her tendency towards that defensive stuff is probably because she's much more of the people coming from the Principality of Kosh than she would if she was coming from, even across the mountains. North Marches, right, is a much more cognizant of the difference between the nobility and the common folk. So yeah, okay, cool. So then she was like kind of focusing on that aspect, and that maybe had some influence on you. So there's maybe a little bit of talk about current events, not only here, like the Firebird here. If you hear about that, she'll tell you how 13 years ago you would have been an acolyte probably in Gareth then, when all this crazy shit happened across the empire.
But how did the poorer fare? How did the less affluent fare in that aspect or that attack and afterwards? I think is probably my stronger curiosity.
What she will tell you is that it would have been nice to know that things rebuilt elsewhere. There's been a curious change. So one thing you would know as well, Elwenny, and Garen, I think just because of your mercenary background, you maybe are aware of this as well, but one of the biggest political splits across the empire is something called the Anwinist split, because there's a guy, I mentioned that there was about 20 years ago, 30 years ago now, there was, I said the three emperors. One emperor who just went missing. There was a person named Anwin of Raven something or other. I can't remember what his... Anwin of Ravenhold, I want to say, or Ravensword. In any event, he declared himself, or had himself declared by a priest of Prios as emperor. And then someone else declared themselves while they were off fighting a war, had themselves declared emperor as well by virtue of inheriting the position. And that split between the two of them persisted for 18 years. Up until the original emperor returned, and then he and Anwin died. But there was Anwin was arrested at one point, and then escaped, and then was supported. So there was a bunch of nobles who supported that cause, who were the Anwinists. So there was it was a difficult time, because the Anwinists, that did not resolve until a year after the Year of Fire, when Antrim came down. So there was a great deal of tension between different noble families, Anwinists either taking advantage of, the folks who did not, or those persecuting the Anwinists in an attempt to try and on the face trying to curry favor with the imperial authority, while really just taking their neighbors' property, in particular up in Vagenhold. So if you look, let me go to that map of here again.
Yeah.
In Angbar, while the Firebird had caused a great deal of damage in Angbar, we were best positioned to rebuild. And the miracle of Ingram that saved the city. We got off well. Vagenholm, I hear, has only barely rebuilt. And the dwarves as well I hear that while the king was saved, the Mountain King was saved, it was at the expense of his sight and son.
Oh.
The dwarves, the Angrashim, and the people in the northern counties, they have paid dearly, and there's not much that Angbar has done to try and support them yet. So, while here we have fared well, Rondrastank is... there is a shrine. You would be aware of that. Like, oh yeah, of course. You'd heard about this. There is a shrine to Rondra at Rondrastrank that we have supported where we can, but there is only so much that can be done. And Vegensholm is a separate kind of political unit to the... what is it? The Hilllands. And as such, rivals. So, you ask about the life of the small folk. The small folk here they seem to have fared and recovered as well as what any have here. Things to the north are still challenging.
So the Count wishes us to travel to Kosham?
I believe, yes. Do you know much about Koshim at all? Why don't you give us let's say an easy history check, both of you guys. I don't think either of you are super well trained in it anyway, so...
No, we are not. We live for the moment, Kevin, not for the past. Wait, where that's history? Knowledge.
It's a quality level 1, so that's...
Easy, said Kevin?
Easy, yeah. Okay. You've got no idea, Garen, but L1A, I don't... What you heard is that there was some wizard, sorceress, in fact, some sorceress who's supposed to have broken a human who broke the bonds that held the Allegrim in place. That broke that ancient spirit out.
Oh.
We've heard that this was on...
Attack the dwarves in the mountain?
Yeah. They didn't attack them. Well, I mean... So remember, the Allegrim is a creature from the age of myth, effectively. Like, it's been bound underneath costume for longer than, humans have been on Aventuria. Or at least the folk who founded the Empire. But someone, what you've heard, Elwene, is that it's a human mage, a sorceress, who was involved in breaking the ancient mystic bonds that held that thing in place. And I think you know as well that this person was a Borberadian, someone in service to either the demon master, who would have been vanquished by that point. Borberad was vanquished in 1027, 6 years later. So during the time of the Heptarchs, the successors to Borberad, she went and broke it up.
On purpose.
On purpose. The devastation to the dwarves and to the north. So that's what you know about the
Do
other
we know
context.
what happened to this human?
The are you asking your Carmena, or are you asking?
Do I know, or
I don't think you know. I think like that's because you only got one. So the quality level will tell you sort of how much you know. Quality level 1 success is like a baseline success. What you could do is spend a fate point, increase your quality level by 1.
Oh.
it's not a good use of a fate point?
Okay.
That's the green.
Yeah. So here's what you actually, and you can tell us why this would be of interest to you. So
I think she studies history a lot, and she's always looking into, I guess, ways of improving people's lives, and if understanding the dangers is going to do that, then
So this will be of particular interest to you. One of, let me just get to this to make sure I get the name correct here. This is not who is responsible, but one of the ones. Do you remember I mentioned that dragon, the Imperial Dragon, who was a necromancer, who was a servant of Borbarad, of the Demon Master?
that's that dragon one, and that was in the Shadowlands.
Yes, that's the one. So the Heptarchs. I thought it was
Somehow
a
that just sounds like something Kev's going to use in the story somewhere.
Well, tell me if this sounds kind of up my alley, Dave.
Demon necromancer dragon.
One of the 7 Heptarchs was a undead dragon named Rezazor. Rezazor is the one who broke the barrier between the dead and the living and led to the wave of undead coming from the Shadow Marches. The Walking Dead outnumbered the living in his night marches, as his realm was called.
Sounds like a Halloween special, everyone.
And he seized as well one of the 7 shards of the demon crown that powered Borbarad. It is one of Rezazor, and I'll put that in chat so you can see how his name is spelled. Oh, I think there's one too many A's in there, though. Hold up. Here we go. It is There you go, Rezazor. Each of the Heptarchs had their own acolytes and underlings. And one of the most influential for Rezazor, he already had undead waves to serve him as his army. So what he needed was those who were clever and those who were gifted in magic. And there are arguably no better, more so, than the sorceress Teresia von Salmingen. And I'll put her name in chat.
She's the one who broke the Firebird out of Kosher.
Yes. So she is from a family, a Koshite family of not, insignificant influence. And her people are from it's right around here. It's something called the Darkwood area. That is where her people are from. And her people still rule. She was a sorceress, a wizard, and a noble who threw in her lot with the demon master, Borbarad. She, along with an ally named Ulfing von Jürgenkel. Ulfing von Jürgenkel, curiously, is from the family that used to rule Vengenholm. Before the coming of the Borbaradian invasions in 1015, his father and mother and other family were murdered by the family that currently rules Vengenholm.
Freeing the Aladdin and causing widespread destruction would hurt the holdings and people
Yes.
family.
So it may not surprise you to learn that while he still had noble title and his family still had standing elsewhere, he eschewed that to become a robber knight.
Oh.
So he, along with Carissa von Salmingen, and allies with dark dwarves. Dark dwarves are not like D&D in the sense that they have like darker colored skin or something like that. They take their name because there is a region to the north, the Dark Mountains, and the dwarves are renegades from there. Some of those used to be in service to Jürgen Kell's family, including someone named Dragosh, son of Dern. That name is important because he was a robber knight as well. Not a knight, but a bandit. And it was those dark dwarves under Dragosh and Ulfing von Jürgen Kell, the robber knight, and Carissa, who together freed the Firebird and led to devastation in the north and to all of the dwarves.
What's the other guy's name?
I'll put them all in chat here. So, Ulfing von Jürgen Kell.
Okay.
That's the robber knight.
Worked with Dragosh, son of Dern.
And Dragosh, son of Dern.
See if I spelled Dragosh. Oh, pretty close, but not quite. I spelled it the Winnipeg way.
If you assume the German spelling of almost all these words, you'll get them probably right.
Probably have to add a few extra letters, some silent vowels, silent letters.
A couple umlauts here and there. So what?
No offense to anybody out there.
Yeah, for whatever reason, maybe this just the story of the Firebird may have been the thing that fascinated you. I can tell you that on the battle that led to the death of two emperors, that is also where Razazor died. If an undead dragon can be said to die, but was defeated, was in that battle. And it's said that Ulfing von Jürgen Kell, likewise, he died in the year of fire. So 13 years ago, in 1027, when the Firebird escaped, he died that year. No one knows what's happened of Dragosh. And after everything seemed to calm down, relatively speaking, the Borberadian invasions were done as of 1021. It was a mere 4 years ago, that Carissa von Salmingen made herself known again. And maybe this is how you have that name fresh in your mind. Because the ruler of Kosh is a prince whose name is Blasius of Emberstan. And Blasius is a charming and whatever else man, but the real power behind the throne was always said to be his mother. And his mother was named... Where is she here? Thalesia. And if you picture, like, you remember, what's her name? Oh gosh. The old lady from Game of Thrones. The old scheming, I can't remember the actress's name either. Diane? No. She was in the Avengers. I couldn't remember, but she was basically the, like, gray eminence to it. It was sort of understood that this stern, kind of nasty old lady was the real kind of iron power behind the throne in Kosh. But Lady Thalesia was still beloved, at least by Kosh, by the Principality of Kosh. In 1036, so a mere 4 years ago, Carissa von Salmingen murdered the Prince Mother. And it was no question that it was her, and she happily took credit for it. Thalesia, you must understand as well, when the prince's family evacuated from Angbar to avoid the fire burn, the Grey Eminence stayed. Lady Thalesia stayed behind and faced that. And still, Carissa murdered her. It affected the nobility and the family so much that there was something called the Thalessian League that was formed specifically to bring this Borberadian mage to justice. Nothing's been done of it since. And guys, I have a neat little in-universe handout for you.
You know, Garen, it sounds like we could chase her down.
Maybe, eh?
We just need to do a whole bunch of side quests first till we get leveled up enough to enter that area, that zone. Right now it's blocked off.
So guys, if we were playing in person, I'd be able to hand you the actual physical copy of this, and I could not find a English language version of the of this thing, so I had to take a photo of my physical copy. But guys, who would like to read this article from the Aventurian Herald?
Oh my god. Jeff cannot read small text well.
I zoomed in on it, but that's a lot. Holy. Folks at
If
home,
you wish to read even just the small text at the side, the call out, that is all about Carissa and the Thalessian League. Or Thalessian Alliance.
Huh.
If you guys would prefer me to read it, I'm happy to do so.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So, oh, you know, I should do then. Hold up. Rather than having my face hidden the whole time, let me grab my copy. One sec. Ooh.
Like an actual paper, like a newspaper article. That's crazy.
That's amazing.
Well, I'll wait till Kev to get back, but one of the things I've really liked about this game so far is that it's changed and morphed over time. But just saying, Kev, one of the things I really like about this game is that the history and the world changes and stuff like that have occurred over time. It wasn't just somebody creator of the world decided to write out a history of what happened. It's actually been played out by players, and
exactly,
you see all these things changing. That's pretty impressive.
It's pretty cool, yeah. And this is the Aventurian Herald. It's it's a free thing they post in PDF format, but you can get them in physical copies. They don't do them in English any longer, which is unfortunate for me. But this article comes from the middle of this, and it's all about events from around the world, and then they also have a little GM's guide that comes with it too, to give context to things beyond just the in-universe stuff. So this is what the box says. As a young baroness, Carissa Salmongan, born 983 FB, joined a secret circle of Borberadians. She garnered much unholy magical knowledge while trying to get close to the Demon Master during those years of terror. She used this knowledge during the Year of Fire to summon the Firebird, Alagrim, which burned the northern Kosh to ashes, and which was stopped at Angbar only with the divine aid of Ingerim. Charissa has remained in hiding since this defeat, although she launches new plans against the Principality again and again. She dealt a terrible blow in 1036 FB during the consecration of the newly constructed Lord's Palace, when she managed to kill Lord Mother Thalesia with poison. Prince Anhold swore revenge at the Lord Mother's grave and asked the same of those nobles who had also gathered there. That night, they drew up the charter of the Thalessian Alliance, whose members seek Charissa to bring her to Prios's justice, albeit with little success so far. The article says that in Angbar, the Arch-Villainess, this is published, incidentally, about 6 months before the events of today's session. In Angbar, the Arch-Villainess, Charisia, who sent the Allegrim against the Kosh and killed the Lord Mother, was nearly captured by the guards at the market. Anhold, the heir to the throne, has called for the capture of the Borberadian. Ambrose Wickerbold, a silversmith who witnessed much of the event, reported this to the Kosh courier. The market was going well. My jewelry is very popular and even worn at the Lord's palace. It's not unusual for a finely dressed lady to visit my stall at the New Market. She was neither pretty nor ugly. I cannot really recall her face, but it made me think of a journeywoman shoemaker for some reason. I've been told that you were the best silversmith in Angbar, she said to me. No greeting to Ingarim, no hello, and she did not even introduce herself, but I ignored it. I felt flattered that she had not been sent to Rograma, daughter of Ralasha. You will craft a headband for me, the lady continued. It will be your masterwork, but you will create it according to my exact specifications. She spoke like she was the envoy of light herself. She handed me a parchment with a drawing. The parchment looked ancient, which seemed strange to me, but the drawing was even stranger. At first glance, it was just a tangle of lines, but then I saw that it was composed of overlapping symbols. But not Kozliker signs or the familiar symbols of the gods. It was magical stuff. You know, pentagrams, hexagrams, and strange circles with edges and horns and even hooves. I almost dropped the parchment in disgust. This stuff is not pleasing upon Prios, I said. No righteous Angbarer would draw something like that. She looked deeply in my eyes and repeated the words. You will craft this headband exactly to my specifications. I grew dizzy, and for a moment, I had only the image of the drawing in my head. And then I thought, this woman is bewitching me. Suddenly my head was clear, and as loud as I could, I shouted, Witch! A witch! Guards! Guards! Luckily, 2 market guards happened to be nearby. They turned around, and the woman looked at me in surprise. She looked enraged, but then her features melted like butter in a frying pan, and she looked completely different. Her eyes were piercing green, her hair silky black, and her face as pure and noble as a mare of Raja. I didn't know who she was, but the guards recognized her instantly. Charisia! They yelled, and the whole market erupted in chaos. The guards approached the villainess cautiously, drawing their swords and making up Prios's eye with their free hands. The woman stared at me and hissed, You will obey me in the end. The band of power be in my hand. Then she crossed her arms, nodded, and vanished into thin air. Charisia's appearance has caused quite a stir in Kosh, far beyond Angbar. What did the Borberadian plan to do with the jewelry? The guards of Rohal took the parchment and examined it. The signs were indeed magical, as Kunisvert of Rimewater, master of the order, has said so. So she must have been planning to use the headband for a magical artifact. He did not elaborate. We learned from Master Ambrose Wickerhold that the drawing included measurements, not Charisia's, but more likely for a child between the ages of 8 and 12. What kind of misdeed does the Arch-Villainess have in mind for a child? Heralds announced that Lord Chancellor Nearwolf, son of Niramon, proclaimed that all Koshans should stay alert. Prince Anshold of Borstok summoned the Thalessian Alliance to Alder Castle and swore its members to the pursuit of the Arch-Villainess. All in attendance rallied under the slogan, When Hafax falls, so must Charisia. Hafax is one of the other heralds, incidentally, the heptarchs of Borberan. The prince then offered a reward for any clue that leads to Carissia's capture by the Alliance. Anyone else who managed to catch her, whether alive or dead, will receive a reward of 1,000 ducats. Ducats are the gold coins in this. That's a lot of scratch.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's some pretty good money there.
So I think perhaps it's a story you read. That's what prompted you to maybe learn a little bit more about it. You maybe read that issue, 174, for those who may be curious, of the Aventurian Herald, and recalled that not only was she responsible for freeing the Firebird and murdering the Lord Mother, was also spotted in market recently. Incidentally, guys, what was the picture that I started with today?
Look at that, a green-eyed sorceress on the run in a marketplace.
Huh. That's a weird coincidence, huh?
Why would that be irrelevant? I thought we were just coming here to meet my friend.
Cannot imagine. Anyway, so.
Yes, we will meet the Count.
So that is, yeah, if you hear that, then the, and the reason this relates back incidentally, the Mountain King, who was blinded when the Firebird was freed, Allegrim was freed. His name is Mountain King Dragon Slayer, Lord of the Gargalax clan, Gillamon, son of Gillam. And the reason...
Wait, sorry, who is he?
Gillamon, son of Gillam, is the Mountain King.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought you said, yeah.
The dwarf king in
Koshin.
Yeah.
Well, you also maybe know then, Elwene, because you were thinking about mages, and because you're thinking about the Count. The Count, Wilbur, he is related to a family called the Falkenhags. And the king should have died when the Firebird manifested. The fact that he was only blinded is solely due to the very quick efforts of a wizard named Voltan von Falkenhag. And I'll put that in chat too. I know we all went to high school with Voltan, but Falkenhag.
one of my favorite shows.
Yeah. Voltan is the uncle of Count Wilbur.
Okay. The Count's uncle saved the king. Damn. Should have been writing all this down. The Lord every day, folks.
So, when you're talking, and perhaps like some of this is what you know, some of this is you talking to Karena, but this is who she wishes you to meet with, is that, you know, like, like if it's a favor that the Count is asking of you, it might actually be something that Voltan is asking. Garen, I feel like you're due a successful knowledge roll here.
Yeah, I absolutely am due.
Would you give us another, as they're talking this over, would you give us another, history check? Let's make it at very easy.
All right, let's see what he knows finally. No!
That's okay, so you know a little bit.
Amazing.
So you're something on... Having heard this, you're like, well, what the hell? So yeah, Voltan, you've heard that guy's name in some other capacity, but you can't think of why. Like, it's a name you've heard in your circles, in the mercenary circles.
Right. That's odd.
If you vocalize that, hold on. Actually, those were all terrible rolls. So I'll say you can spend a fate point to reroll one of them, but I mean, you failed sagacity twice, and you failed intuition. Not by much though. Your intuition is pretty good, or at least with a modifier in. That's just a really bad roll.
If we were trying to roll high, I'd be rolling low.
Elwene, why don't you give us a history check? This is something that'll be more related to the Imperial history, so why don't I make it easy for you?
You got this.
No, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, although, you know what? You only failed with that one sagacity roll. Do you want to spend a fate point to re-roll a d20? You would need to roll an 11 or less.
No, that's not bad.
And actually, you would have 2 skill points as well. Because that -2 that you've got there, that's because it's trying to buy off that dice. You would actually need to roll a 13 or less on a d20.
Oh, well now that's actually pretty good odds.
Yep.
Or, not.
They were
Okay.
good odds.
So there's something about what's maybe lodge it in the back of your mind. Perhaps something you could explore further. You just can't remember. There's something else you've heard about Voltan that I don't know why. And these all of these events again. This is like 13 years ago now too. So this is almost a decade and a half past. So, Karena, I guess how much of this do you think you would have discussed with Karena as far as your concerns? Because I think this would likely give you some insight into what may come from the meeting. But do you have any? Would you be asking or discussing any of this with Karena?
I think we'd bring all of it up, kind of relevant knowledge of the area and people, and
Yeah.
See if she has anything to say.
That's interesting that you mentioned Voltan. I had not. He's a curious one. He is not allied with any school. There are broadly speaking three schools in. Maybe I'll wait till he gets back because he's gonna want to know this.
Yeah, this is kind of what he wants to be rolled for.
Yeah.
So.
What is Garen doing all this time, or does he have any questions?
Honestly, this is just a beautiful place to sit and relax, and it feels safe. And I don't know. I think he's kind of got his feet up. And he's just listening to them talk and enjoying himself.
Yeah.
One ear to what they're saying and sort of his eyes on the lake, watching people fish or row around or whatever they're up to.
Yeah.
So not he's half paying attention, I guess is the way I'd put it.
Okay. So, Elwene, what she said is that Voltan is a curious one. In the setting, I will tell you guys, there are, broadly speaking, 3 kind of broad groupings of wizards. Black mages, white mages, and gray mages. And then there are schools that are allied kind of with those broad philosophies. And what there is also is folks who are apprenticed independently. They learn through a specific, one individual wizard. That's just mages. There is also, witches, and there are druids, and there are, geodes that are dwarven druids, and there's a bunch of different varieties. There's spellcasters among the orcs and the goblins that have different traditions as well. Voltan is of that sort of learned from a single tutor type who doesn't have an ally. Who isn't allied with a school, but he is remarkably influential, and he is somehow. There are many who threw themselves in with the who were the Anwinite cause. Just want to make sure I got that name right. There we go. Emperor Hal and the Anwin crisis. Yeah. He was an open Anwinite. And it said that he called in during the Anwinite crisis. He called in the favor from the Mountain King and had him march against those loyal to the Emperor. I'm not sure what further connection that Voltan has with him, but he has escaped, as many have, any consequences for his Anwinite tendencies. And if the Count is interested in what the Mountain King's, in something that concerns the Mountain King, I would not doubt that it's his uncle who is acting through his nephew, the Count. Though truth told, the nephew, the Count, is an eager student of history and conspiracies as well. He is a... I would not send you or recommend you for this task, nor suffer you to undertake this task if I did not trust the... whatever his loyalties may have been during the Anwin crisis. I have no doubt that Voltan is loyal to the prince. And he is loyal to the Kosh. It could be, as is his way, that he is a secret member of the Thalassian Alliance.
They did counter damage done by the Halligan.
Oh, indeed. It said that their numbers, I have not seen, but it is not the hill dwarves that we so commonly encounter. These are their older kin, the iron dwarves and the ore dwarves, who live there, and they were impacted given the long-standing animosity between dwarves and dragons. It would not surprise me that an agent of Razazor would so cruelly target dwarves as their subject of their wrath. I have heard they are greatly diminished, unable to adequately maintain or protect the deep roads that move through the mountains between their communities. Have you seen a dwarfhold before, Elwene?
I have not. Only read about them.
I can say that while they are... the Mountain King may devote themselves to Ingram in the name in which they venerate him, but they are loyal to the Empire, though apart from it, and they are grand allies in spite of losing his vision, in spite of the devastation of the Andurum, Mountain King Guilliman swore once again the pact of friendship between Kosh and Koshin and the Gargalax clan not long after the Year of Fire. I know you had likely plans to travel elsewhere, and perhaps not so much intent to stay here, but I think that the Thunderer may have brought you to a place where her shield may be suitably valued by the weak.
But she has a plan that we're not privy to. Well, almost assuredly she does, but perhaps some of that plan will open itself to us as we progress.
Indeed. Anything else you guys wish to ask of Karina or discuss with her?
No, I think I'm ready to bath and clean my gear.
Okay.
Armor.
So then, if you certainly are able to be afforded that, Garen, if Elwene is going to clean yourself up before dinner, what do you want to do with your time? Anything you'd want to do to kill time in the city, or?
I mean, I was considering gambling, but since Elwene's busy, maybe I will go hang out at the quite full bar and do some gambling.
Okay. Then
There's rules for that.
there are like 5 pages of drinks in here.
That's amazing.
It's pretty incredible. Oh, that's great. Tavern games. Here we go. Drinking games, games of skill, board games, dice games, card games. What are you thinking?
Dice games for sure.
Dice games, okay. They are played extensively among the common folk because they're usually pretty quick to grasp. By far the easiest game is 1, in which players throw a pair of dice and add the results to their totals each time until they roll a 1, at which point the rolling ends. The player with the highest total for the prior dice rolls wins. Ship, captain, and crew is popular among sailors. Particularly, participants are symbolically stranded on a desert island and must roll ship, captain, and crew to escape. Each participant rolls 5 dice a total of 3 times, and must roll a 4, a ship, on the first roll, a 5, a captain, on the second roll, and a 6, a crew, on the last roll, or else be eliminated from the game. Play continues until one player, a winner, remains.
Just tell roll 20 you're trying to roll the opposite.
Yeah.
Roll 20, I'm trying to roll 1, 2, and 3s.
Rather than rolling those, in this case, every time a check is required, make a gambling dice games check. Player with the highest number of quality levels succeeds. Thus, a hero may lose a single turn, but still wins the game. Each check represents a 10-minute interval. Ties are not allowed, except in the game of 1. In the event of a tie in a game of 1, whoever rolls the highest result on a d6 wins. Players who tie continue to roll a d6 until there is a winner. So
yeah, let's I don't know, spend a couple of actions gambling to see how it goes, right?
Yep. Let me.
I have 16 or 18 silver coin.
Silver talers, I think.
18. I have 18 silver talers.
Yeah. So the ducats are the gold coins, and I can't remember what the pennies are.
Tailors?
Talers, right. Yeah.
And there's Kreutzers.
Creatures are the smallest, or
Yeah.
I think that probably.
There's four levels. I'm assuming it's 10 each time, or what?
I think that's right. Yeah. Let's double check here in the gear section. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, Kreutzer is the basic coin in the land. A holler is 10 Kreutzers. 10 hollers is a silver taler. And 10 silver talers is 1 ducat. Oof. How much are you going to bet? To give you an idea of the purchase power of this stuff, a pint of beer. Yeah,
like I think we might bet like Hailers. That's the second one up. So like not, I don't know exactly their value, but
it's a common game though. So this is not one of skill, so it might be a little bit lower.
Even the Kreutzers, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's let's see here, a stationary gems, bandages, containers, refills, travel gear. The heck is the thing here? Don't need luxury goods. Go. The heck was it? A bath is 3 silver talers. If you're curious. So that's no small gift they're giving you.
Oh yeah, that's huge actually.
Mm-hmm. Nation, bandages, containers. Why am I having such a hard time finding this? Is it right at the beginning here? City package. Oh, right. You know what? I wonder if it's in the thing I was just looking at. Here we go. Beers. Oh, 3 Hailers for a pint of old Angabar Stout. Angabaran Stout.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so betting a Hailer's like betting a beer. I guess I could see people doing that.
Yeah. So three Hailers per a pint, and that's actually a pretty nice beer, too. A mid-range beer of, like, Dwarven Bock is 2.8 Hailers.
Yeah.
Oh, no, hold on. It's even less than that. A typical serving, a tankard, is 1.5 Hailers of that old Angabaran Stout. So, yeah. Okay. And what I was looking at is I was grabbing the Aventurine Companion to see if we've got any fun, more advanced rules for gambling. Because this is the kind of... Gambling is a knowledge skill, right?
Yeah, I believe that is correct. Gambling was under knowledge.
Nature skills. Hunting. Knowledge skills, here we go. General skills. Gambling. I have it marked already. How did I know you? All right, betting games. Here we go, dice games. It's even got the thing here. That's awesome. Okay, no special circumstances. And quality level indicates the size of the winnings derived from the number of wagers. So we'll assume it's going to be like whatever you roll in your quality level will be what you earn or lose. So go ahead and give us a gambling check, please. At I think.
Yeah, what's the competition like?
I think it's
here?
challenging when because opposed rolls are always that. I think is challenging the default.
Yeah, challenging is the default. Yeah. Okay, here we go. He's not the best gambler.
You know what? Here
He loves it.
Let me give you the. Hold on, we got to get you the perfect scene here too. Let me bring you over.
Wait, let me cancel so I can see it before I roll.
Go. I did also load. This. Oop. Guys, I tried to move something with the measuring tool, so we don't need to do that. There you go.
Oh, yeah. There he is. Looks like he's winning right now.
Exactly. Okay. Then go ahead and give us a challenging gambling check.
All right, let's see how it goes. Oh, that nat 20 killed me.
Hold on. You know what? You could spend a fate point and re-roll that 20.
Yeah.
Because your sagacity is at
Absolutely.
10. You got 50-50 chance of succeeding.
Yeah, which is exactly the kind of dice game he's in for.
Yeah.
So just roll 1d20, right?
1d20,
There's not like a button or anything on
There
the
isn't.
sheet. Yeah!
Success! Success. So then
Oops.
you're going to earn a Talder back.
Oh, no. What have I done?
Oh, it was a Hailer. Hailer, you bet.
Yeah.
Okay.
not
That was how long do you think you're spending? An hour or half hour?
I think it said those were 10 minutes.
Yep.
The gambling things. So +1. Yeah. I mean, we could do a few rounds. Like maybe I don't know how long. How do you think Elwyn's gone for her bath? Because I think he would want to get all of his gambling done and be back at the room like nothing was
You
going on.
could do 5 more, I think.
Yeah.
At least a half an hour of bathing, and then she's got to clean up her armor and stuff because she can't go visiting an account.
It's probably about an hour. So
Okay.
Dirty armor, yeah.
do a couple more rolls here.
You got it.
I mean, unless I start losing like crazy.
If you roll 2 20s, that is a crit fail. If you roll 2 1s, that is a crit success. We have to confirm it.
Oh,
But
nice.
yeah.
I need to get some skill points in this.
We're going to get 15 AP at the end of the session, so.
There we go. And I'm assuming like the low levels are cheap.
They are. Yeah. Once again, it's
so
that middle
close.
dice that screwed you over.
I'm going to use one more early fate here to try
Okay.
and succeed. Early, he wants to show off.
No! Failed.
Oh, failed.
See, this is one of the things where if you had skill points, that could have offset that, right? Because
Right,
if you had
'cause I
3
can-
skill points,
for that.
that would have been a success then.
Right.
And the more skill points you have, the better quality of success you can get. So like, let's say you did roll a success on that one, but you had 6 skill points. Every 3 or increment thereof gives you another... No, every 3 skill points, or increment thereof gives you 1 quality level. So if, for instance, you had 6 and you rolled successes on all the dice, that would have been 2 quality levels of success, meaning you would have won 2 Hailers for your 1 stake.
Right.
So, you lost that one. You want to bet again?
Okay. So, yeah, I'm even. Yeah, let's keep playing. He
Okay.
doesn't like that. Doesn't want to leave even. He'd like to at least leave up.
Yep. There you go.
Yes.
1 Hailer back.
Oh, I mean, I'm on a streak.
You got 3 more you can do. But
You know the gambler's fallacy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's
Ooh,
gonna.
But I think that's your best stat out of because your
Yeah.
intuition's a 13.
Yeah, I'm gonna use one more fate to
Okay.
try and win here. This is it. But then he's feeling like he's gotta. Come on. Yeah.
Nat 1, nice. Okay, so you need to roll 2 nat 1s in order for it to be a critical, but that is a success. Another 1 Hailer you won for your stake. You've
Okay.
2 more opportunities.
Yeah. I'll do one more.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm on a roll. It would be just like Jeff to use all of his fate points to win some Hailers at gambling.
Oh, not a
no.
crit fail. Yeah, there's no chance of turning
And I
that.
think that's sort of when he loses. That's when he uses the excuse of, "Oh, my friend, she'll be back soon. I must go. Everyone, thank you for the games."
Okay, so you leave the alleyway, get your winnings, and head on your way.
Yeah.
One?
Anything
One
else?
Hailer?
He
Yeah. I'm only up 1 Hailer. Yeah.
Anything you wish to do in town before you head back to meet up with Wenny?
Why don't you spend your 1 Hailer on something?
I could.
Isn't it like 3 hailers for an ale, though?
1.5 for the old Angremosh. Oh boy.
I'll ride you later. I'm not there.
Oh, it's neat. So like those are rolled normally, right? For the dice checks, or just like a gambling check. Card games, depending on the card game you're choosing, it's actually it depends on the complexity of it. So it could actually be like a skill challenge type thing, where you're trying to build up more successes over time than what your adversary does. And remember, your level of training plays directly into that, because it's your quality level is what you use as your degree of success.
Right.
Yeah. So
awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely going to invest some gambling points in the future.
Good. Elwene, what's going through your mind as you're having a chance to unwind, get yourself cleaned up?
I think she's actually just trying not to think about all the politics and people and stuff like that. It was, as much as she enjoys that conversation, this is her first chance to really just relax for a bit. And it'll make it easier to enjoy or be on her toes the next day if she can put all that aside for now. But there's still stuff that's like kind of niggling at the back of her head. So yeah, she's curious as to how tomorrow might go.
Mm-hmm. Is there something that prompted you to leave, Gareth?
I think given that she had done some martial training and she was seeking some adventure, I think coming here to visit her friend was more of a, hey, let's just get one little journey out of the way and then we'll see Kosh sounds like an interesting place. And of course she was, interested in that Firebird and what happened. So, it was kind of, let's go see where all the action happened and so yeah, just take it from there.
Okay. Garen, what about you? You're walking back, you're up a hailer, at least for, for your troubles. What's going through your mind of, because this place is hopping, right? Like they're...
Like, I don't know. Maybe there's I think that, like, when he's in crowds like this, he defaults a little bit. Like, part of his mind always wanders back to, like, look at that guy. His coin purse is just dangling there. Like, I could just, one little pull and that's mine. Like, I think it's sort of like he sees all the opportunity, like, oh, look at that vendor. He's so busy serving people. Look at that pile of cash just pouring out from under his boot that he's got it on, stashed in, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But he's just sort of telling himself, like, no, resist, friend, resist. So he's probably walking around with sort of that kind of, and maybe looking for adventure, always like, maybe a fight. Maybe there'll be a fight that breaks out, or
I mean, merchants are always hiring mercenaries, right? Like they always need bodyguards or whatever else. So like, there's certainly a lot of. You're not wrong with the number of fat purses that are around in this town,
right?
And it seems like the hired, the sellswords who have attached themselves to those merchants. So I mean, you don't strike me as a bodyguard type, but times get really tough. That potentially is something that could at least put a little coin. They're well dressed, the bodyguards.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. So dinner is what you would expect from a bunch of battle priests. So it is. They want to hear a lot about life in Gwent. They are particularly interested in the military engagements that have been, that have occurred in and around. Because the capital of Gareth has been under siege so many times in the last 20 years that and then there's an expedition or several expeditions that have gone out to sort of like reconquer territory. The far eastern coastline, in fact, is still kind of known as the Nightmare Lands because it's still kind of under control, if not by the agents of the Heptarchs, then by demons or other cultists or whatnot. So lots of things to learn about from there. And Garen, if you happen to mention your, kind of combat experience, they get a little bit like kind of like testing the waters of what you're like. Are you just a mouth? What is your training in warfare?
Oh, whoops, sorry. I clicked the wrong thing. My warfare is, I think it's really high. It is a 10.
Yeah, so you've got a lot of practical experience that if you choose to talk about that stuff, it turns out you've got a lot of people who are interested in hearing about your life at the table.
Yeah, probably. I think he's lived an interesting life, so.
So, the evening, do you guys have anything you wish to, have happen at the dinner, or you wish to talk about at the dinner, or explore, or do you just want to enjoy the company and then see what comes from tomorrow?
I think we'll just kind of retire early and get a good rest for tomorrow.
Okay. And your
Yeah.
plan?
I mean, I would follow Elwyn's lead here. This is sort of her people, I feel like, more than it is.
Just give me a sec. I thought I heard something.
Garen's. Yeah, no problem.
Everything's fine. She's dead asleep. So anytime I hear something in the house, it's only me and the dog, right? So I just want to make sure someone didn't tumble or whatever. So
Yeah, totally.
So anything at the dinner?
I don't know that I would be.
Go ahead, yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say I don't know that I would be like anything in particular.
Okay. I think because of your interest in the history, Elwenny, you're going to get a fate point back, and because of the fun role playing in pursuit of your gambling, you'll get a fate point back as well, Garen.
Nice.
So the next day, well, I guess you're sleeping at the inn once again. Same waitress kind of greets you as you're coming in at the Jumping Pilgrim. Morning comes and you're served a good breakfast. I wish I could do justice to it. The game has, in some cases, some phenomenal lists of actual food that you can, describe for it. I'm always awful at that, so I do apologize for not taking advantage of those opportunities. But morning comes, and Elwene, would you be checking back with Karina before going on with the things? No,
I think we'll just go straight there.
Okay.
She kind of wants to get this done.
Yeah, let me see here. I think is there. There's a theater. Where's number 1?
What are we going to see?
I'm trying to find the so it's a council that actually runs the thing with a steward who works in concert with the city. There are like independent city states within the principalities as well. I don't think Angbar is one of those, but I can't, to be honest, I can't remember offhand. But it is. Oh, look at that, guys. On 12, there's the Thalesia. Named after the Lord Mother, no doubt. Where's it? So it's 12. Is 9, 10, 11. I don't see where 12 is. kind of all mixed. Oh, yes. That must be where you're meeting then.
I would think so. Looks formidable.
Yeah. When you guys arrive, you are met by a guards, for one, at the gates, and then shortly thereafter you are administered or escorted inside. And shortly after that, you are brought through to a fairly impressive looking, like, it's not a it's not like a throne room per se, but it is like a, it's an audience chamber, a place clearly where someone is intended to meet with you. You are watched by guards, but you do have an opportunity to have, once again, a lovely view of Angabar Lake out the window. There's a sound of gulls or other seabirds outside. And you're reminded that one of the unusual things in the Riverlands is the god of the sea, whose name I want to say Isser. Let me double check here. Efford. Efford is the god of storm, water, and wind. There is a unique expression of Efford's church here that is specifically for Riverland travel and the lakes, because of their giant bodies of water, but still, devoted to the same god. And the correct naming, you would know this, Elweni. Perhaps Garen might need a little brushing up on this. The correct way of addressing a count is Your Excellency.
Ooh, Your Excellency.
And someone of noble born will be Your Honor. So Your Excellency for the count and Your Honor.
Oh, that could be for other highborn people that is with him, basically?
If someone who is...
counterpart?
Yeah, if he happens to have anyone else with him, like, say, there was some talk about Voltan von Falkenhag potentially attending as well.
Okay, yeah.
That wizard. So it is about I guess Garen and Elweni, what are you guys doing while you guys are waiting? Neither of you have any disadvantage that deals with like impatience or anything like that, do you?
Oh, actually, where's our disadvantages? Is that on the PDF or on the sheet? I think
it's under special abilities. Everything's on the sheet.
Oh, it's a long list. Literacy?
I don't think so.
There's principles, obligations, and self-talk.
Okay, yeah, no, you're good.
I don't actually see any disadvantages.
Roll to the bottom of your special abilities.
I don't have any.
Okay.
Let me take a look at the PDF.
I don't see any. I'm happy to have some. Maybe Garen doesn't have any disadvantages.
Let's see here.
It affects like how many things you get, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah. It's when you
more points. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, but most the pregens in particular, I think have. Where is he here?
Maybe it didn't get added.
Garen. Here we go. Garen's character sheet. Garen, you have you have no disadvantages.
Yeah.
Yep, none. You're just that good.
I'm just calm. I'm relaxed.
Okay.
I'm enjoying this.
So you are sitting out the window when the door opens and you can hear some chamberlain announces His Excellency Count Wilbur Arbelius of C and His Honor Voltan von Falkenhag. And you turn, and these are the two who come in. Here is the Count. And his uncle.
Hoity-toity.
Voltan von Falkenhag.
That's his uncle, okay.
Yeah. That is the man who saved the Mountain King's sight.
Right.
Because of magic. So, they walk in, and it is the Count who says, good day, Your Grace. Your squire.
Yes, Your Excellency. Well met. And
You
this
as
is
well.
my associate.
Hello, sir.
Garen of the Blade Breakers.
Nice to meet you, Your Excellency.
And you. Please, we'll dispense with the formalities. This is my uncle and advisor, Voltan von Falkenhag. And he nods to both without saying anything. He does seem to be intensely listening, though. So the Count says, then, Alwene, it's just your man-at-arms, then?
No. Friend and companion.
I see. Forgive my rudest... Garen, what is your interest here?
Assist, of course.
He looks over at Voltan.
Maybe.
Voltan kind of gives a, approving kind of nod. The Count looks back. Very well. Did Her Grace Karena describe to you the nature of my reason? I must confess, I was concerned that when she indicated that she would not be available to meet with me, I must confess, there are rarely people who say no to me. But you come very highly recommended, directly from Gareth itself.
Indeed. It seems that the hand of Brondra has guided me here, so that I may step in for my friend and do the honor of our church to you and your request.
Voltan says, Karena said that you were even more suited for this task than she.
Well, perhaps her insight into the nature of the task is guiding such honorable opinion. She didn't give us a full breadth of details. I'm assuming she would leave that to you.
The Count says, you see, Voltan, modesty and might, all in a warrior. Precisely what we need. Voltan says, and wit. And Count says, yes, that's what the mage is for. Elwene and Garen, if you are... Tell me, I don't... From your accents, I take it that you are not from the Kosh.
No, we're
Correct.
from Gareth, both of us.
Garen lived there. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Garen, do you actually say you're from the Shieldlands at any point? Or do you kind of... Because after your parents... I don't think you, necessarily served in a mercenary company up there. Maybe you did because you go where the work is. But...
Yeah, probably.
So then maybe you still got an accent of the Shieldlander then.
It would make sense.
Okay. So then, he says, good. Well, then, are you familiar with the homes or the kingdom of our allies among the Angrasheen, the dwarves?
Indeed. And some of the trouble that was brought upon them, the Aragorn?
Yes. A great tragedy, and truly, I'm sure you mean no offense, but a great understatement to suggest it is a inconvenience. Voltan says it was... I witnessed it. It was, quite literally, a holocaust. Remember?
Yes. And one that would have turned out considerably worse if it wasn't for Voltan's timely insistence, from what I understand.
You can see he doesn't say anything directly, but his eyebrow arcs. That was not expected. And the Count says, you see, Voltan, your name spreads further. You know, for someone not from the Kosh, you know a remarkable amount of the particulars of our local troubles. Tell me, do you know anything of the freeing of the Firebird?
Of the what?
Of the Firebird, the Alagrim.
Of the Alagrim. Not much of the creature itself. Know a little about those who had set it free. Carissa and Dragos, and was it Ulfing? Ulfing on Jurgenquell? I think I might mess the name up, but
the Count is doing nothing to hide his surprise at how much you happen to know about this, and he finally catches himself and looks over at Voltan, and Voltan just simply says, "Well informed indeed." Now that is an understatement, Voltan.
I have an interest in history and of the area, and so I'd fascinated by some of the things that have happened, and eager to see the people, recover, as you would say, as the Church of Rondra would normally oversee and or assist.
I see. You are not incorrect in your assessment. As your kind might say it, a wound needs to heal and scab over in order to properly recover. And there is a salt in our wound that returns when that witch's name returns. And Voltan says, to interrupt, "No witch, a Borbaradian." And the Count says, "Forgive me, I am not tutored in the arcane ways. The particulars are lost on me. I have my advisor to thank for my correction. But he is correct. Indeed, it was through the tutelage of the undead dragon and the demon master himself that she was able to have the knowledge to free this creature from myth and inflict such devastation on the Kosh and the dwarves. It is, as you have it set out properly, some of those villains quite rightly rot in their graves now, but Carissa continues to be... She is the most pernicious threat to the Principality of any. Not only for the Principality, for our allies among the Mountain King's people.
Mm-hmm. Spotted recently in a market by a jeweler, if I read correctly.
Yes. He looks... the Count looks over at Voltan to see, how does she... And Voltan says, "The Herald. You are well read, Your Grace." And this is Voltan speaking now. Indeed.
We did just speak of this yesterday with Carissa, so that's... Some of it's a little fresher in my head than what normally is.
You do not give yourself the credit. You know much more than what many in the Kosh know. Or at least recall. The threat represented by the Borbaradian Carissa von Salmingen is sufficient to have drawn the direct attention of our prince. You have heard, I do not doubt, of the Thalessian Alliance, a pact.
Yes.
Voltan looks over at the Count. I wish not to trivialize what our prince has sworn. Losing one's mother as cruelly as he did, and to see an individual as impressive as the Lord Mother brought low through a cowardly act as poison is a slight that must be answered. But we have frankly had very little luck. I say we because I have agreed to ally myself with them. Indirectly, of course. I have a unique history with the Mountain King, and while he had a debt due to me that has been discharged, it is in friendship between our people that he brought word to us that he may have uncovered where Carissia, Ulfing, and Dragosh and his dark dwarves accessed the Andurim. If you have not seen the halls of the Mountain King before the Day of Fire, they were impressive and expansive, but the devastation of the freeing of Allegrim caused great destruction and required rebuilding, and among a people who had been greatly diminished by that cataclysm. It has taken time, but the Ore Dwarves and their Iron Dwarf allies are rebuilding, and in doing so, excavating some of the results. There are two things that he has brought to my attention specifically, suspecting, as I think he does, I may be part of the Thalessian Alliance. One of those is a cyst in a cave that he believes has markings consistent with those used by the Borberadians. It also seems that Dragosh, son of Dern, who has been suspected of being dead, may be among those who have survived in Vengenfurt. Actually, I might have that name wrong. Hold up. Let me bring over to the map for a sec. Vengenholm. Forgive me. You may be aware that if you know the name Ulfing von Jürgenkarl, that the von Jürgenkarls were the masters of Vengenholm before it was seized by others. There is, sorry, forgive me, I don't actually know the guys. Oh, Lekton, forgive me. There is a new family. While one can question the legitimacy with which Vengenholm was transferred between the Jürgenquells and those who now control that hold, those who did those deeds are now dead, and there is a new Lord of Vengenholm. We think that Dragosh may still feel a debt of revenge is due for his former allies. He served Ulfing von Jürgenquell's family before all of these troubles. It is why he took up with him when he became Robber Knight. And while Ulfing is dead, Dragosh, it is said, has been found lurking in the northern regions of the Kosh. If he is alive, he will know how Carissia accessed Koshim and those markings that the Mountain Lord's people have uncovered. While they have not the gifts, the knowledge to uncover it, we have secured an ally, a bright young mage, who may assist in confirming whether they are or are not of Borberadian origin. While it may not lead us directly back to Carissia von Salmingen, if we can know how she accessed Koshim, at the least, we may know one of her tricks. The Count then speaks. What we are looking for, and would ask of you, is that you travel to Koshim, meet with the Mountain King, escort this mage to that. It can be dangerous, and with the devastation that has wrought the north, there is more uncertainty and banditry on the roads. It can be a perilous trip up into the mountains. We would see this mage safely there, so he might confirm for Voltan what has been done, and if there is any information about Dragosh, to then bring that back to us, so we might decide how best to pursue that. Of course, if you come across Dragosh, he looks over at Voltan, and Voltan is like, if you find him, bring him to me.
Not willing to come alive?
I will be frank, he is of very little value to me dead.
Fair.
But, this is Voltan speaking, if he has survived this long, he is likely not one quick to throw his life away.
Do we have any idea, and maybe this is irrelevant, but it's kind of bothered me a little since I started learning about this. Do we have any idea why? Like, Ulfling, I could understand he was trying to take vengeance on the people who took his homestead, but Dragosh and Carissia just sowing discord because that's what they do, or was there some other motivation, perhaps?
The Count kind of looks over at Voltan like, that's a good question, I don't know. And Voltan says, Dragosh and his dark dwarves were cast out of their homes. They found a place in the household of the von Jürgenquels.
Mm-hmm.
When they died, and Ulfing was sent fleeing, he adopted the same path of vengeance that Ulfing did. And that coincided with the goals of Carissia von Salmingen. I know not if you have encountered the black heart of a Borberadian before, Alwene, but those who are not blinded by the dogma of the Priosian Inquisition may find it in their hearts to understand why some turn to the archdemons, to the Nameless One, to other cults. But those who turn to Borbarad, to the Demon Master, there is but one pursuit: power. And while I am not aware of any direct connection between her and the Demon Master himself, she allied herself with one of the most destructive of the Heptarchs, an undead imperial dragon. I have no doubt she learned somehow the Heptarch himself is a child of Pirdakor, a being as old as the gods themselves. Allegrim, the fire bird, is a creature of the great dragon, the golden dragon, Pirdakor. Carissia would have learned secrets that are older than any older. They were old when men first stepped foot on the western shores of Aventuria. For that is how long that thing had been trapped beneath Koshin. If that was only one of the secrets that she could learn from her masters, her black heart, I have no doubt, would have no limits to what she would do in pursuit of power. So as for why, I cannot speak to it, for her heart is truly an inhuman pit. But I know of other Borbaradians, and it is power that they seek. Power and destruction, for it wreaks weakness in her enemies. He looks over at the Count and he says, I see. Then, there you have it, Elwene. Have you any other...
Oh.
Is this a task that you feel fit to undertake?
I feel there's a definite fit on my behalf. I cannot speak for Garen. He and I have traveled quite some time, but
Well, I assume that there will be fair compensation.
The Count kind of looks over at Volten. Volten has a bit of a smirk on his face, and he says, yes.
Wonderful.
The reward, I take it you've heard? The prince has offered 1,000 ducats.
That's more than fair, then, shall we say.
That is to those who would bring the Carissia von Salmongen to justice.
finding her dark dwarf friend could very well lead to that end.
Voltan looks over at the count and says, Karena has not led us astray. I approve. And he bows to you, my lady. Sir. And he leaves. The count says, well then.
We shall return tomorrow to collect your mage and head out for flight.
That would be acceptable. We are happy to supply any immediate needs as well. We will discuss compensation once the GM figures out what that would be. Then
I believe 15 AP per session sounds like an appropriate start.
That is definitely going to be part of the compensation, but there will be ducats to spend as well. So unless there's any other questions for him, guys, I think we're a little bit over time right now, so I don't want to keep you too late. But this... What was that, Jeff?
Oh, I was saying we have an early game tomorrow, too.
We do, yeah. So that brings us to the end of session 2. So guys, you each get 15 AP for that.
Picture.
What's that?
Do we have a picture of this mage that we're supposed to take along with us? And...
It said that you could not mistake her. They do actually have a portrait. I will tell you, it is an unflattering portrait because it is one that is painted by her enemies. But I do have that for you. Where is it? Where is she?
I was talking about Thalion, but yeah, okay.
Here we go.
I was like, do you have a picture of John's character that we can...
Oh, yeah, the mage, of course, yeah. Carissa von Salamangan. The other neat thing, too, is because the time passes at, at a certain rate, at the regular rate, some of these characters are at an interesting age that you wouldn't expect in another thing. So, like, because all this shit happened, 15 or whatever years ago, because that's when those adventures were published. We now find ourselves 15 years later, so these characters have had a lot more, life that's been lived in the interim between them, which is, I think, pretty cool. So here we go. This is the enemy's portrait of her.
Oh, yeah.
She is, however, though, 57 at present. So for someone in her 50s, on the later side of 50s, not terribly poorly holding up. But yeah, they have definitely leaned into the evil witch portraiture with her in this. But that'll bring us to the end of session 2 then. So for those listening at home, thank you so much for joining us for session 2 and for indulging in our extended setup before we got into the things. I hope that they gave you guys a better sense of the actual, what the setting is and where your place is in it and where the adventure is kind of fitting than it was at the end of last session. Yeah,
for sure.
Awesome. So as is always the case, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns regarding the session, the game we're playing, or the adventure, please don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section down below, and I'll endeavor to reply in a timely fashion. There's also a link down below to the Dungeon Musings Discord server, where we have a channel dedicated to assorted games, as well as many other games we run on the channel. I will probably post the character sheets for these characters over there, because if you're curious of seeing what the characters look like, you can see it. We can post what they were like at the start of the adventure. There's also channels for finding a group, GM discussion, virtual tabletop chat, convention chat. There's a terrific, helpful, knowledgeable, and friendly community over there, and you are more than welcome to join us. There's also a link down below to the Dungeon Muse. Wait, I'm back in the loop, guys. There's also a link down below to our friends at Noble Knight Games. Noble Knight Games is the preeminent unionized retailer of hard-to-find and out-of-print RPGs in North America. Not only do they have an incredible selection of new role-playing games, board games, and card games, they have an unmatched selection of hard-to-find and out-of-print RPGs. Not only do they have, including The Dark Eye, the Glitch in the Matrix, Glitch in the Madison, more like. There is, if you make a purchase of $10 or more through their website, be sure to enter the code Happy Muse Year. It's listed in the description of the video. It is easier to type than it is to say, and it'll save you 10% on your purchase of any $10 or more through their website. If they don't have something in stock that you're looking for, you can put it on a want list and they'll send you an email when it comes in. And the last thing I'll say is a huge thank you to our stalwart players. So Jeffrey and Dave, thank you so much for playing the Dark Eye again today. I know this is a game that we didn't, you guys didn't expect to be playing at the start, a month, two weeks ago, I guess. But boy, you guys did a hell of a job of selling the game on me today. So well done. We'll be back in the streets of Angbar in 2 weeks' time to meet our third member of our party. But until then, we hope that we gave you a few hours to take your mind off the troubles of our world and think about the troubles that our trio of heroes, our duo of heroes, I guess, right now, are encountering in the Principality of Kosh. And until we see you again, stay safe, stay healthy, and happy gaming.